We welcome you all to slow motion for this presentation of the Formula V Weekend Warriors Series, and we're about to grab the start in just a few moments' time. It's going to be Megan Overstreet leading them to green with Ladar right alongside. We're waiting for that green flag to come at, and the drivers are now on their way. Some of these drivers may be a little bit more aggressive towards the end of this race, as side by side with Love and DeGassis heading into 5.
It's close. It's a bit treacherous on the corner. Rex is just singling run wide there, Ron.
Down the running order, Love and Brewster, meanwhile, they have been in the tow and they've seen all these drivers try and do their own maneuvers. They definitely have something cooking behind the wheel of those FV race cars. As Montgomery gets that move done, one's running at the back. Well, not actually running right now, I don't believe, as there's a spinner with Ladar.
We are live for the first time on slow motion broadcasting with the FF Weekend Warriors. We're at Sebring this weekend. It's going to be a blast. I saw a little bit of rain here in the practice session, but we'll get to that here in 1 second. My name is Adam Thompson. I'm joined in the booth by Randall McGrew.
These three going right at it. We see you're getting really squirrely. There.
Oh no!
Some contact. Oh no! Jurg and Antonio, the two Masters leaders, both with issues and now dropping down the order.
There's a dicing through the curbs. Our lead two. As that's Instaman just slossing it up the inside through McIntyre there. Beautifully done by the Icelandic driver as there's a big incident happened behind somewhere. Gonzaga losing a lot of places back.
Almost touching at that point. They're around there heading into the closing stages of the track. Not quite there yet. Heading through what I'm calling the horseshoe, but let's not get into my drawing skills at this point. Nothing but clear track ahead of them at this point, so no one should be able to interfere in that battle. Side by side, nearly had contact there. That's going to put Kabanka on the inside for this next hairpin. This could be what decides it, and he's gone right on the outside, actually trying to cover off the car. I do wonder if Barry is going to be close enough to potentially slipstream. They've got 2 corners left to go. This is penultimate one now. Barry right up close, 0.3 of a second. I'm not sure it's going to be close enough, 0.2 of a second. He's got to keep his foot on that loud pedal. Catches a little bit of a curve, but has Kabanka done it? Barry going to the inside, and Kabanka gets it.
The field in Castro's hands, and he's going immediately. Gets a good jump there over green, and he's pulling away. He is gapping early, even moving over to try to break up any sort of slipstream or help that inside line, making sure green has his hands full coming into T1.
York's chance. Did Jason give Antonio just a little bit of a slow up? It doesn't look like it. Antonio down to the inside. Hopefully going to be able to make this move. Oh, that was close.
Soto both coming very hot with a head of steam. Plava going up to try to move out of the way and give up the slipstream.
Here comes Gilliland.
Slow down. Gilliland coming in, going to try to challenge for this podium. They're going to go too wide.
Oh no!
Oh no! Gilliland and Plava come together. Gilliland's going to come back across the line in 4th place.
He's quite going to get there. There's a little bit of a lock up there from the 46 car. He's gone deep.
Whoa. I don't know how everybody was able to get through that.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to a special presentation of the 43rd Weekend Warriors V Runoffs. My name is Ron Maunz, and alongside me working the comms and the cams is Daniel Zippy Salmon. After a whole season of racing action in the Weekend Warriors world, we're here today to bring Season 4 of 2024 to a close, doing so at some fantastic British racetracks with some Yuletime energy in the air of the holidays upcoming, and some other awards to give out throughout tonight's action. But Zippy, here we are, man. It's been a brilliant season up to this point in the entirety of the Weekend Warriors world, from the Formula Vs to the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords. We've had some fantastic races, but we're bringing it all to a close at some really fantastic UK racetracks. So what are your thoughts heading into today?
Well, I 100% approve of the track choice, Ron. It's fair to say that obviously being from the UK, I am definitely a fan. And we start off as well at literally my home track. Now, I am a Lincolnshire lad. They call them yellow bellies. I've got no idea why. I probably should know. But honestly, I'm glad to see that we're here at Cadwell Park. And then not only that, I'm glad to see that Stevie has not set rain.
Oh, yeah. I'm absolutely petrified if we ever have a race here again with the pouring rain like we had in the Formula Fords earlier on this season. If anyone remembers that broadcast, God, I think it was probably one of the first rounds of that season, probably round 3 possibly, but either way, I remember that race, and I'm probably going to remember that race for an extended period of time. Thankfully, here with the Formula Vs for the first race of the day, not gonna have to worry about weather. Instead, these racers are going to have to worry about the challenges that you usually see with Formula V races, and now we had a fantastic season with the FVs in the Weekend Warriors world. In the Spec 1 class, it was won by Thruxton, and in the Spec 2s, Andrew Love took the title here for Season 4 of 2024. Got a whole lot of heavy hitters out there on the racetrack. Currently tackling this qualifying session right now, 10 minutes long with 4 laps for these drivers to try and get the job done before we head off into a 25-minute long race. Usually with the Formula V Weekend Warriors would have 30-minute long races here, though with the runoffs 25. That's going to be the same case with the Formula Fords coming up after this, but the Spec Racer Fords are going to be at 30. But either way, going to be unusual for these racers to have a slightly different race on their hands, and also seeing some characters I don't think we've seen at all throughout the season. Gasper's running at the front. Now, I believe I've seen him in the Weekend Warriors world in the past. Don't believe I saw him throughout the entirety of the Formula V season, though. So certainly showing a lot of pace, though, currently on the provisional pole in front of Greene and Tulo, who finished P1 and P2 in the championship.
Well, David Gaspers is literally Spec Racing Ford royalty there, Ron. He's certainly, before I'd even heard of the Weekend Warriors, he's the guy who comes in with 12K I rating and absolutely dominates. But I tell you what, we're going to find a driver for you to do a guided lap. Adam Thompson's currently doing one, but we know how he feels when we commentate on his action. Usually, to quote a very great commentator who just made their iRacing debut, ladies and gentlemen, Ron Maunz, he intends to get hit by a falling anvil. But I tell you what, Ron, take a quick peek, pick a driver for us, and we'll see who you want to do an onboard lap with.
Yeah, let's see who's going to get struck by the falling anvil tonight. I'm looking through these drivers about to start their final lap, so trying to see. It's Slim Pickens, which I believe was an actor from like back in the 40s, I think. I'm not too sure. I think the driver who we may pick as the unfortunate victim is possibly going to be Seth Spolman. I believe he's towards the end of his third lap, unless I'm very much mistaken. There he is in the 42 car, the driver running in 17th at the moment in this qualifying session. Let's see how we can do. Coming out of the final corner, that's turn number 18. Really tricky to try and get that corner right. The track falls away from you, but going on to the start finish straight away, very, very narrow at the beginning of this race. It's going to be really tough for these racers, but heading off now into turn number 1, gotta lick the stamp and send it. Heading through, try and hit that curb on the inside line. Don't want to touch the grass, otherwise you're going to be in for a world of trouble. Now back up the hill through turn number 2, over the crest now, in that small little section between 2 and 3, around that corner now, and on to 1, the longest, if not the longest flat-out blast around this entire lap, the section between 3 and 4, which Spolman is in right now. Got to pick out your braking marker. Let's see which the one is he going to pick. That was a terrible amount of grammar there. I apologize. Probably about 50 meters before the corner, if my geometry skills are teaching me anything there, before he heads off into turn number 4. This turn 5, carrying the momentum through. The momentum, always such a big thing with these Formula V race cars. And now heading through 6 and 7. That's such a fast section. Don't want to get it wrong, though, because you got the crest coming out of it. Downhill now into turn number 8. One of the heaviest braking zones around this lap, and one of the trickiest as well. You're carrying the momentum, banging down the hill as he gets sucked up into a UFO, and that does it for the shortened 10-minute long qualifying session. And that right there was a half-lap guide around Cadwell Park. They have a bit more time in this 25-minute race that we have coming up to go through it as a whole, but still ready to get things up and rolling from the first race of the day. We've got some champions who were doing absolutely brilliantly throughout this past Formula V Weekend Warriors season. They're going to be running strong in this race, looking to try and carry the momentum and maybe have a good result to look forward to for season 1 of 2025. I nearly said season 5 of 2024. I don't believe that's how it works, but nevertheless, gonna get that starting grid loaded up in a couple of moments' time to see who's going to be taking to the grid. It's going to be David Gaspers, the German, I believe, in the number 24 car. Is he German, or does he just have the German flag next to him? That remains to be determined, because Thruxton, starting at 30, used to have a Japanese flag next to him, because I believe he did live in Japan not terribly long ago. But nevertheless, I'm getting ahead of myself. Gaspers starts from the pole. Jason Greene going to join him on the front row. Thruxton, your 2024 Season 4 Formula V Weekend Warriors champion, going to be lining up in 3rd. Dan Sadro going to be starting in 4th. Antonio Antonio Reese starting in the 5th starting spot. Then we have Trenton Kramer in 6th, Andrew Love in 7th. Jörg Monti going to be starting this race from the 8th position. The Italian of Guido Marzucchi going to be starting in 9th. Then we have Adam Thompson in 10th, Brad Cathcart, the Aussie, starting in P11 in the 905 car. Matt Thompson going to round out your 6th row. And looking through the rest of the drivers that we have in this very big grid.
Sorry.
There we go. Brian Hansen going to be starting in 13th. Michelle Lynn, who after a brief adventure into Spec 1 has returned to Spec 2 for this version of the runoffs and also Season 1 of 2025, which we'll certainly be talking about in the not-too-distant future. She's going to be starting in 14th. Hank Mell in 15th. Daniel Tufts in 16th. Edgar Sancinelli going to be starting in the 17th starting spot. Jeff Jacobson in 18th. Seth Spolman in 19th. Russell Telker going to round out your top 20. And Zippy, I'll let you get a word in edgewise.
Honestly, Ron, at this moment, I've never had more appreciation for you. As Stevie Ray, he takes the 21st spot with Nick Tulo in 22nd. Mikey Roy, great to see him here. He's poached from the Motor Racing Academy. Thank you very much. And I do believe as well, Ron, we're going to have to keep an eye out for the Christmas paints as well. We'll get into that a bit later. He's in 23rd with Paul Jackson there in 24th. As we take a look there, 25th, where are we gone now? Apparently that's me. Don't ask me how I've done that. Me in 25th and Philip Berry in 26th. I've just figured out how I've done it. I couldn't find the session and I joined it. Yep. Okay, there we go. Artur Lurero, he's in 27th with Chris Montgomery in 28th. Ken Poulin takes 29th with Bill Walker in 30th. And that rounds out our field.
Yeah, there we go. 30 starters set to take the green at about 1 lap time around this track. Historic in nature, but a brilliant ride in the world of motorsports. Has that old school flavor, but with old school race cars, it's going to be a match made in heaven, or so we think, Zippy. Didn't see the Formula Vs running around this track this season. Saw the Formula Fords, but didn't see the Formula Vs make their appearance around this racetrack. But I gotta say, if there's a track that I feel like the Formula Vs are going to treat as their bread and butter, probably gonna be a racetrack like this. It's old school, 18 corners and all around this 2.18 mile long track. So I don't know about you, but I feel like this may be a match made in heaven. I feel like we're a bit privileged to say that, though, because we're not behind the wheel of one of these race cars.
Well, actually, thinking of who would be behind the wheel of one of these race cars, Phil Tulo does legitimately drive a Formula V in the UK. And to be honest, I don't know if he's made it to Cadwell. I do know he's made it to Brands Hatch. I've seen him live racing in the action, and I'll be honest, on that day he got absolutely soaked. It's like Stevie set the weather at Brands Hatch that day. That's how wet it was, and he actually had great success there as well. I believe he won that race and absolutely dominated it as well. Certainly with Fortulo, you could definitely believe it. But you know, honestly, he would be the best man I would ask for that. We'll have to try and catch up with him at some point and see if he has had the pleasure or displeasure to some people of racing Cadwell Park.
I gotta say, looking through the YouTube chat, a lot of people making their appearance. I see Yanshi Lin, who's going to be on the Racing Line podcast this upcoming Tuesday. Also see our very own Joshua Wilkie. You know, he won the championship in Spec 2 in both the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords. Not going to be seeing him out there on the racetrack. Hasn't really talked about this, but I will say the reason why Josh is absent is because he usually, his day job actually, is singing the national anthem at Moose races. So he's had to have some obligations to attend to here today, so sadly won't be seeing him out there on the racetrack. Trust me, I've got some very bad jokes for him throughout the rest of this show, but nevertheless, I need to break out one of those jokes. I think I'll maybe save those until later on in the show, because I feel like I'm not going to call this green flag action without just busting a gut laughing. But nevertheless, ready to get things up and rolling for the first race of the day. We've got 3 fantastic UK racetracks, 3 separate batches of cars, but still going to be the same great racing action that you see every single weekend here exclusively on Slow Motion Broadcasting. That pace car going to make the turn down pit lane. It's going to be the SRF standout and the star, David Gasper, is going to be leading them to green. The green flag's out and the drivers are on their way. And you know, speaking of green, Jason Greene not getting off to a good start at all, as him and his championship rival from this past season, Thurtulo, side by side hang down the start finish straightaway. Looks like they go to single file out briefly as they head their way off through turn number 1. They do single file out. Tulo going to be slipping his way into second. Green dropping down to third. Some shuffling around a little bit farther in the back. Brad Cathcart losing out in some spots. Michelle Lynn making up 2 spots thus far. She's now side by side with with Matt Thompson, so this is going to be a good fight that we have to keep our eyes on. My apologies. That's Brad Cathcart that she's going side by side with. About to head their way off through turn number 4 for the first time. That's actually another SMB colleague, Adam Thompson, making up some moves a little bit farther in front. He's running in 8th at the moment. Don't want to jinx him yet. He's going side by side at the moment with Andrew Love. Looks like they single file out, as Love actually losing out on another position to Guido Marzuki, as some shuffling is going around all throughout this grid.
Well, I've got to say, it's an absolutely fantastic field of drivers, as I believe that was Dan Sandro. Yeah, Dan Sandro taking a little bit of a detour there through the grass. One of the Ford Spec Racing admins who, they actually organised the SRF sessions on a Sunday night, and actually Jason Greene has taken over that responsibility. Dan Sandro, though, not having the race start that he was looking for. But as I have a look through the field, I can see not too much moving for position right now, but actually the most positions gained is from this gentleman, Ken Poulin. He's currently up 6 spots. Actually, I say a lie. Chris Montgomery up 7 spots, as I believe they may have been getting edges there. And oh my gosh, look at the view ahead of him, Ron.
Holy cow, they were 3 wide heading off through this section, one of the toughest around this racetrack, but one of the most noticeable as well, as I think there may have been a noticeable mistake for Antonio. Recent contact there with Montgomery and Spolman coming to blows heading off through turn number 17. I think Chris Montgomery should be counting his lucky stars. The fact he didn't get sent off into low Earth orbit, as that's a big crash heading down the start-finish straightaway. Someone just veered off into the barrier. That's the 544 car. Lots of drivers coming down pit lane. I think a lot of the field picked up some drive-through penalties as a result of some miscommunication at the start. There's Love, major damage on that race car. That's going to take the Spec 2 champion out of it here for the Formula Vs. What happened there? I just saw that car spearing off the road. A Christmas livery, which, by the way, every single car, well, most of the cars around this racetrack sporting some beautiful Christmassy liveries, and we will be awarding some prizes as a result of that. But I want to take a look at this with Spolman in the 42 car, because it was him and Chris Montgomery who nearly came to blows. Well, they did come to blows, but it nearly ended an absolute disaster. You can see that parking lot heading off through the second to last corner. That's such a stack up around one of the tightest corners, not just around this racetrack, but in iRacing as a whole.
Oh,
just
it's a
small little drama, and you could see lots of drivers coming into the pits, Zippy. Not sure what in the world was going on there in terms of drivers picking up some drive-through penalties at the very start. This is rather odd.
I think I know about that, so it's purely by chance I happened to be in the session, and admit it, I've joined it the wrong way. My apologies for that. But I believe Stevie was saying that everybody has to do a drive-through at some point just to keep things extra interesting. You don't have to pit, you do have to drive through. Oh no, you're me! And it's like they parted the Red Sea there, and the Formula V's are absolutely dodging around him. The Stevie Ray shotgun, the commentator's curse. Well, we can't blame Stevie for this. It's just, I like using the phrase Stevie Ray shotgun, I got to be honest. That thing has got caliber. And York Manny having a little bit of a spin there. That takes him down quite heavily. And actually, speaking of the Stevie Ray shotgun, he is now leading the Masters class.
It reminds me of a very odd story from the Philadelphia Circus not terribly long ago. The human cannonball for the Philadelphia Circus retired a couple of years ago, and the head of the circus said that it was going to be very tough to find a replacement, very tough to find a man of that caliber. But with that terrible pun out of the way, let's take a look at this with Stevie running in 13th. Go back towards the front of the field. This pack is insane. Gaspers, Tulo, Green, covered by nothing. They're going to be side by side, nearly 3 wide, heading off into turn number 4. Tulo trying to make hay while the sun is shining on the outside line. Gaspers gonna back out of it. He drops down to P2 for the time being. You've got an American, a German, and a Brit, all covered by nothing at the north end of this field. But Green, he's a fast driver, as we know. He's also he's a driver who's very patient when it comes to situations like this. One driver is not very patient, as Gaspers going for the dive heading down into turn number 8, not able to get the move done on Tulo, and at risk of losing out a spot to Green. They're now side by side, heading through turn number 9 and 10 right now into the hard corner of turn number 11. Ooh. And that's Gaspers mega sideways heading through. That's going to cost him out on a whole lot of time of the 24.
Well, definitely some close battling going, and is this going to be the break that Jason Greene and Fortulo needed to try and break away from the pack? But one of the things we are going to have to do is try and find some of these Christmas paints. I've just gone and rebooted the paint thing as well, just to make sure that we're not missing any. So we're going to have a little bit of a shoot through the grid in just a second. I'm trying to think of the best way of doing it, but we're basically just going to go down the grid, Ron, keep an eye for Christmas paints, and we'll kind of pick them out. Thank you very much as well, Josh. Let me know about the audio as well. I did have an outside source checking on that. But right now, so let's see who's got these Christmas paints. So what about Guido? Is he rocking the Christmas? Nope, he is not, but he's got Adam Thompson breathing right down his neck. We'll stay with these guys for just a moment. Thompson certainly, he's potent in the Formula V. Guido definitely having a lot of success there. I believe he got third in S1, correct me if I'm wrong, but certainly Thompson applying the pressure to our Italian cohort and doing everything he can. Guido Marzucchi with the video editing skills that honestly should be in Hollywood, and so should Formula V Weekend Warriors, but not quite able to get the done move was Thompson.
Yeah, not close enough, heading off into turn number 4 a couple of moments ago, trying to look to see if there's any memorable liveries out there on the track. Here's a Christmas livery. Brian Hansen in the 771 car. He's currently running fittingly in 7, so a lot of 7s going on here, but this is a rather interesting looking car. Trying to get a better view of it myself. It says Spicy Racing on the side. That, I believe, I think years ago, back in 4th grade, that font that I see, is that like hippie font or something like that? Trying to figure out exactly what the font would be. Also, any racers in the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords, if you're willing to mess around with your paint scheme before the start of the show, anyone that puts wingdings on their car, I will make a very odd noise into my microphone because of that. But with that taken care of, gotta say, pretty good looking livery there from Brian Hansen's car. Can see some Christmas trees. Looking at the back, that kind of odd looking thing. It kind of looks like Christmas wrapping there. Also sort of looks like the sort of coverage that you'd see on like a public bus in the city of Philadelphia. But rather interesting looking car in the 771.
Well, that's definitely one of the Christmassy themes, and I got to be honest, I do quite like that. So let's continue through the field. It's a little bit of a less serious broadcast today, and to be honest, I'm actually enjoying it because while it's fun to do all the more professional and SMB standard of commentary, I do enjoy it when it gets a little bit silly. Now let's see if we can find some more paints rocking some Christmas themes. I see Edgar there. He'll be in a Frito Sport livery. Jeff's in his usual. What about Hank?
Yeah, I think there's a Christmas livery on that car.
I'm trying to find a zoom button, so you bear with me here, Ron.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm looking at it. I believe Hank Mel in the 588 car has a somewhat similar looking, somewhat similar-esque paint scheme to Brian Hansen in the 771. He's now going side by side with Jörg Mani heading off into the corner. Mani, I believe, is running a Christmas livery too. I gotta say, breaking the fourth wall here for a moment. To anyone who's curious about how this commentary stuff works, which, believe me, it took until probably about a week and a half ago to realize what I was doing myself. All the cameras that you're usually seeing on the broadcast, I am linked up with the stuff that Zippy's putting on screen right now, so I may briefly disconnect from this at the moment. Oop, nearly switched to broadcaster mode. That would not have been ideal.
Go. That should help.
I'm an absolute true professional here, so I'm trying to see. I
just zoomed in on my side, Ron. I don't know if you'll see it on yours, but let's go a bit more, actually. Then that way the people at home can see it.
Actually, I think that may be a rather good idea. Instead of completely disconnecting from your camera feed, I will zoom in on myself and try and get a good-looking car. Oh, I nearly zoomed out there for a second. I'm trying to see. There's a thing on the side of it. I'm trying to read the text, but the car is going by so quickly I cannot read it.
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna pause it when he goes by because he's got these. Would you believe it or not? The Formula V's are going so fast we can't actually get a good look at it. Hang on, let's have a look here. Whoop! There we go.
Oh, there we go. It's frozen tozen. Very
fudge
very
around,
cold
find
outside.
out.
Oh, there we go. Is that
What do we think, people in the chat? What do we think to that? Is this a new #1 in the Christmas liveries?
Oh, I just saw the thing on the engine cover. Only say I didn't fudge. Only I didn't say fudge. You can tell I'm dyslexic.
That's okay.
Oh boy. The dyslexia coming back to really bite me on the butt there a couple of moments ago. And yes, I did say dyslexia. I'm trying to find a good-looking angle of this to pause myself.
At the minute, he's pretty up there. I like that one. What about Trenton?
It's a good-looking car.
Trenton,
Have you seen the front of it yet? There's a little... I'm trying to think of what it is on the other front of the car. I can see... Okay, there's a good one. On Hank Mel's car, there's a lampshade with, like, a leg of a... I guess it would be a scantily dressed woman in, like, heels. Sticking out the bottom of the lamp. So that's first time I've ever said that on the air.
That's definitely getting my kind of approval, I'll be honest. I enjoy that kind of thing. Let's keep going through the field there, Ron. Let's see who else has got a Christmas livery. I've got 2 so far we've spotted.
I was just gonna say I finally got a chance
Here
to
we
read the thing on Hank Mel's car. It says, oh boy, it keeps jumping away from me. Only I didn't say fudge. I said the word, the big one, the queen mother of dirty words, the F dash 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 word. So, yee howdy to Hank Mel, and I think I'll jump back to live action. What do you got, Zippy?
Okay, so now we're taking a look at Mikey Roy's car. Now, I know he's pretty talented with the paint, and actually it looks like the cameras are zooming in a bit more. I get the Christmassy theme a little bit on this one, Ron. I don't fully understand it. It does look like almost like... oh, he's getting a little bit... That's Russ Telker actually taking a little bit of a dive through the grass there, but... As I have a look at Mikey Roy's paint, it's got a little bit of Christmas bauble action going on, but it's not quite as... it's not quite as humorous, I find, as the other paints.
I would say it is rather simple, though, and I can also see the wood grain on the back of the car looks like a cutting board more than anything else. So, Mikey, I gotta say, it's a pretty good-looking car. It's not the most humorous one in the world. I feel like we need, like, separate awards for, like, most humorous and most clean-looking one.
Oh.
Definitely a bit more clean than some of the other ones we've seen thus far.
Oh, dear. I can see Russ bringing it in with a little bit of a crabbing car there. We don't need to check my paint. Let's have a look, see who else is there. I think it's just between the two of them, to be honest, in this occasion. I didn't see any other Christmas paints unless you did, but... so we had... Who was the first paint here? Brian Hansen, there we go.
Yeah, here we go. Here
Tough
is
call.
Hansen's car.
It's a tough call.
This is tough. I'm actually, I'm going to fully break away from the cameras here for a moment. I'm going to be taking a very close look at Hansen's car. I gotta say, like the print on the back of it, it's got the blue with like Christmas trees, candy canes, and all that stuff going on the back of the car. So a pretty nice looking car from Hansen, if I do say so myself. I also like the touch. I can see some gingerbread man on his helmet and all that. Gotta say, I'm a fan of Hansen's car. I'm gonna go through to see if there's any that we may have missed. But overall, I'm messing with Hansen's car. That's looking pretty all right, honestly, Zippy.
I gotta be honest. For me, Hank Melee gets my vote because it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I mean, honestly, that's playing to the audience on that point. If you make me laugh and, you know, it's a little bit underhand, it is right up my street. So that would be my vote. I'm asking the chat as well. Chat, it is very important as well that, you know, we get your votes as well. It's not just the commentary team that's deciding. You guys are involved in this process as well. So at the minute, I see that we've got one vote for Hank from Dan Stasinski. I know Wayne Buttermore is in the chat. Josh Wilkie's good to see him in the chat. I don't know if he's still hanging around. I know he's a busy man this weekend. Tamara, you're in the chat. Wayne Buttermore. By all means, all of you guys who are in the chat, give us your opinions. Let us know what you think of these paints. Richard Swindells, if you've not gone to get yourself something to eat yet, thank you. And by all means, let us know which paint you think is best. But in the meantime, I'm going to return to the action. Let's see what's going on here. Guido is still under attack there from Adam Thompson.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the racing is certainly very exciting. I'm not seeing it at the moment, but I'm sure it is very intense. These drivers always like to put on a good show week after week, race after race. Still looking through to see if there's any more Christmas liveries, so stand by with me here for a second, Zippy.
All right, Ron, you do what you got to do, sir. Team effort for sure. But as one thing I did notice as well, Jason Greene, he's taken to the lead full too low right on his, I'd say rear bumper, but he doesn't have one on this particular car. Actually, any car that we have here in the Weekend Warriors does not have a bumper. Certainly, Michelle Lynn is not going to be, she's not a fan of the tin tops on that aspect. But I've got another vote here from Mikey Roy. It's from Alex Van Lingham. So we got one for Hank, actually two for Hank, sorry, one for Mikey Roy. Ron, let me know what your vote goes to. And keep them coming in the chat. Alex as well, thank you very much for tuning in. But right now, we are keeping an eye on Full Tulo and Jason Greene. The gap under 0.2 of a second right now. There's another battle going on further back. It's Jeff Jacobson and Jorg Manny. These guys are side by side. Actually, is that a paint we've got on Jorg Manny's car?
I looked at it a little bit earlier on. I don't believe it is like a specific Christmas livery. I will say Stevie has one. I'm not sure if we've taken a look at Stevie's car yet. I know he has one because I was looking through. I could see Christmas lights and all that stuff on it. Looking through to see if there's any more, though.
I've got to try and zoom it in again. All right, let's take a look at Stevie's car. Oh, okay. I recognize the usual pattern and color scheme of his paint. I mean, I got to be honest, it's the shiniest paint there. I'll give him that. I do like how shiny it is. But for me, Hank still keeps my vote. Alex, I don't think JG2's got a Christmas paint, but I am going to have to check now that you've said that.
I don't believe he
Definitely
does.
not.
I mean, it is green, which I guess is a Christmas color, but at the same time, that car is always green. So I guess it's kind of cheating in a way. I will say, I think Andrew Love is running a Christmassy-looking livery at the moment. It's just red and white with some green numbers and some green wheels, so nothing too out of the blue there. I gotta say, though, I'm quite frankly torn. So what are the votes that we've got at the present moment? So we've got for, is it currently split between Brian and Hank, or are we going to throw Stevie in that regard? I gotta say, of all of them, Stevie's is probably the coolest looking one, but
I'd agree with that.
that the lampshade, that's really throwing me for a loop. Reminds me of going to some very special stores that they have down in Atlantic City, but nevertheless, oh boy, can leave.
I don't know if you're old enough for those kind of shenanigans there, Ronald.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, and I was going to save this right before the end. Technically speaking, this is my
we got
last
another
Weekend
vote.
Warriors broadcast as a teenager. So, do we have another Christmas livery?
We have another vote. We got Wilkie is voting for Stevie. I got to start writing these down here. So Hank, we got 2. Mikey, we got 1. Stevie, we got 1. Did I miss anything? Tamara, you've not yet voted. I see you out there, but you've not really cast a vote yet. Well, I'm getting mention of Yorgs. Let's take a closer look at Yorgs again. It is coming up a little bit. It's definitely not Christmassy, but I want to get a closer look at that. I'm sure Mr. Wilkie is going to be able to teach me some ways to zoom cameras on the move. But he's saying get back to the race. Okay, all right. That's fair. Let's take a look, see what's going here with Dan Sadro, Trenton Kramer, and Jeff Jacobson. Oh, yeah, we have a whole spree of cars by the look of it, and it looks like Trenton Kramer is going to be very much under attack. As you can see there, the puffs of unburnt fuel being sent out through the exhaust, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Sadro definitely did not have the race start he was looking for, but he's closing down on Trenton Kramer. Jeff Jacobson just a little bit further behind. 4 cars in this pack. We got another vote for Mikey as well, so Mikey is up to 2. Ron, you may have a deciding vote in this scenario, buddy.
Well, I gotta say, and this is honest, I think, oh boy, I'm gonna have to consider it a little bit more. My preliminary, I do have a preliminary vote, but I think I'm going to have to have a bit more further review between now and the end of this race. It's side-by-side racing here. Hornet's nest of race cars. You've got Sadro running in the midst of a pack with himself, Trent Kramer, and Matt Thompson. Jeff Jacobson also in tow as well. Now riding on board with the Faux Speed Racing number 51 car of Dan Sadro. As you mentioned, Zippy didn't get off to a very good start, did he? Currently running 12th, though, running strong for the time being. Let's see if he can get some moves done to break his way up into the top 10. Won't have to do too much to be able to do, as that's a spinner coming out of turn number 7. Not sure who that was. May have been a car multiple laps, and actually may have been Loriro, I believe would be the name pronunciation there. I terribly apologize if I very likely butchered that. But he's running down. I believe he's just towed back to the pits, and I think maybe out of it now. But nevertheless, back to this action with Kramer, Thompson, and Sadro. We're bringing back to the racing here, and I ask you this here, Zippy, before I go back to reviewing Christmas liveries. Do you think Sadro will be able to get the moves done to slip his way up into the top 10, or do you think it's a fruitless effort?
Well, I'm not really too sure on. Zan Sadro is somebody who I met earlier in my iRacing career, and I say career with a very loose term there, Ron. And he always had incredible pace. Certainly, he ran Faux Speed for a long time. But the Frito Sport guys as well, I mean, we got to learn a little bit. Certainly myself, I had no idea about Frito Sport until watching the racing line. That tends to be on Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern. You see Stevie Ray, Adam Thompson, sometimes Joshua Wilkie as well. It depends on who is available at the time. But also Coach Extraordinaire Jason Greene, and the special guest in the 4th seat in the last round was indeed, it was this gentleman here. It was Edgar Sancinelli. Now, he is involved very heavily in Frito Sport, and it looks like he's brought some friends along to the party. And actually, he's having a little bit of a bout right now with Chris Montgomery. Not even a 10th in it, with Stevie Ray in on the action as well. A freeway fight going on here, further back in the pack for 14th place.
Yeah, the fights are still very much on all throughout this field. Looking back at that battle, there's Sanchinelli. I gotta say, as he's going side by side with Montgomery, I've been aware of Frito Sport for a decent amount of time because some Frito Sport racers are running in a series that I have done some race officiating for in the past. Still doing it up until tomorrow, actually, which is my last day. Holy cow! But nevertheless, before I have a slight existential crisis here on this show, Sanchinelli, the head of Frito Sport, and have had some experience with Frito Sport in the past, and he's been a really nice driver to keep our eyes on, not just throughout this race, but throughout this whole season as well. Has really dug his teeth into both the Ray Esports and Weekend Warriors worlds. Are really nice to see Edgar out there on the racetrack, running in the 257 car in 16th at the moment. Maybe got to size up a move in the not too distant future on Montgomery and Stevie. Gotta say, if Stevie has some similar-ish looking liveries to what he's got right now, he may be one that we have to talk about in terms of getting the award. Can we give the award to the series admin, though? That may be it's like
here we go,
tuning
here we
into
go.
Wheel of Fortune and Pat Sajak getting the prize. But nevertheless, looking at this side-by-side racing here with Sadro, that I believe he's now going side-by-side with on the outside is Hansen. So Hansen not only in a battle for position right now, he's in the battle for the Best Paint Scheme Award, trying to hold on to that top 10 position, and contact being made heading through turn number 3. That's going to bump Sadro off the track. Looks like he's going to hold on to that spot for the time being is Hansen, as Monty now going to be side-by-side with Trent Kramer a little bit farther up the road. Who's going to win out in this fight? Is it going to be Kramer holding on to P8? Looks like it's going to be for now. Monty's still running in 9th. Gotta say, Gaspers, he's entirely checked at 9 seconds in front of Jason Greene. But this race, it's been an odd one to be sure. I mean, I had some pretty odd racing that I had to cover with a different broadcaster yesterday, but, you know, it's still
Ron, it's
pretty
okay.
odd
You
jumping
can...
from reviewing liveries to talking about racing.
You know what, Ron? When it comes to doing an official iRacing broadcast, have at it, buddy. Have at it. I'm damn proud of you, and you did a fantastic job as well. If you want to talk about that in the show, go for it.
I will maybe save that a bit more towards the end, but I gotta say, Gaspers has come in to serve that drive-through penalty now. That's part of the reason why that gap has closed up between himself and Green. Marzuki going to be jumping into the pits as well. Green and Tulo, though, I'm curious how the fight's going to shake out with those two. There they are. There's Green at the moment. Close up that gap to Gaspers. However, it's about 2 seconds, 1.8 to be a bit more precise. And oh my God, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 7. Flipping wildly is Stevie Ray. Brian Hansen getting a tap there as well. A parking lot coming out of turn 17. Got to take a look at several angles of this, Zippy. That was a huge crash. I think the first flip we've had thus far today. May not be the last, though. Who knows?
Yeah, I definitely want to see what happened here. It looked like a murder at the Golden Corral there, and you can see a little bit of over-rotation. Goes and hooks it back in, but then what happened then? I mean, we saw the chaos.
I think that may have been not terribly long ago with Hansen. Yeah, so a simple half spin, so to speak. I'm trying to figure out what the correct technical term would be there. So Hansen having some drama hang through turn 17 not terribly long ago. This may have been what happened not terribly long ago either, a couple of moments ago to be a bit more precise. You can see him heading his way through turn 17 right now. Such a hard corner. And oh, he got clobbered. That was a big wreck with him. And look at Stevie barrel rolling. He got tapped. He, I believe, ran into the side. That, unless I'm very much mistaken, was the 232 car. That I believe maybe Matt Thompson, unless I am very much mistaken. The 233, my apologies, of Matt Thompson. But either way, a wild ride for Stevie. Gonna take a look at another angle of this, riding on board with him in that 911 car. Heading through the corner right now. You can see that drama with Hansen, and then Thompson comes across him, and nowhere to go does Stevie. Just absolutely terrorize some birds in that tree there. He nearly hit him.
That definitely was not the preferred line through that corner, but I gotta say, that is the... I'm not gonna say it's the biggest incident we see... Oh. I'm sorry, that's so funny. It's not the biggest incident we've seen here at FE. I'm gonna claim ownership of that at Laguna Seca. I still say that is the biggest flip we've seen in the Formula Vs, but certainly a little bit of an unfortunate outcome there. It looks like Hank Melee, he's gone in the pits as well, but let's have a look for the battles. It looks like Antonio Reese is now going at it, and this time it's Adam Thompson going to be applying the pressure, looking to move up into 5th place.
And you know, with only 30 seconds left, I need to call the finish, but I'm not going to do it until I say one more thing. I think in terms of the paint scheme that's going to steal my heart, I think I'm going to vote for Hank Mel. That's going to be my possibly deciding vote, but side by side with Thompson and Reese heading off through turn number 4. Looks like Thompson's going to get that moved on to slip his way up into the 5th position, but Reese may be fighting back. Michelle Lynn is also closing up to these two. Probably not going to be enough with only one more lap of racing action left to go. These racers still giving us a very close fight, but up at the front of the field, Jason Greene has gone and moved on Gaspers to slip his way into the lead of the race. Tulo, he's now in 3rd. But at this point in time, Green, he's gotten the move done on Gaspers to slip into the lead of the race. Tulo, though, he's going to be slipping around heading through the final quarter. No harm, no foul, going to remain in 3rd. But at the front of the field, Jason Greene going to take the checkered flag to win this version of the Weekend Warriors runoffs. Well done to Green. And oh, that's a big wreck for Gaspers, losing control and hitting the barrier. But Green, he's going to be victorious. Fight. He may be celebrating, but looking at this, and big crash. Kramer barrel rolling. Lynn barrel rolling as well. How in the hell did that just happen?
All right, we're going back to that one.
What in the world? I think my voice is just completely blown out. Holy cow. I knew Trent Kramer was maybe going to go for the dive, but let's take a look at this. Smola, how the hell did Michelle flip? Okay, so that's what happened to Kramer. Barrel rolls, hits the barrier. I could just hear the errant thunk of Michelle Lynn hitting the outside barrier. So what happened to Michelle? Did she like hit the barrier, twist it in a weird way, and then just start barrel rolling? What I am genuinely at a loss for words, folks. Let's see what happened to Michelle in the 215 car.
Yeah, she got
Trent
punted.
hit her, and then into the barrier. That's what the contact was. What sent Kramer up into the air, but spinning her around into the barrier, and that's exactly what happened. Snagged that outside tires, and that's what sent Michelle up in the air barrel rolling. I thought, I said when Stevie had that moment that it was not going to be a one-off.
Oh.
Not even a one-off in that race. Holy cow, that was a huge hit for the both of them. Did Monty also center punch Michelle Lynn there? I think he may have gotten a piece of that action as well.
It definitely wasn't the outcome that he was looking for. We'll take a quick look, and then we're going to probably head towards the interviews at that point. But I do feel sorry for Michelle Lynn. Out of everybody in this series who's been hit with a falling anvil, I gotta say, good job by Jorg, and yeah, a little bit of a tap there, but nothing he could do. But Michelle Lynn, certainly the, I would say the Acme Award at this point, the most unlucky person. It's as if the whole field at times has been the Roadrunner, and she is the Wile E. Coyote.
That was possibly the most wild collision that I have seen in my entire time doing broadcasts with the Weekend Warriors. I gotta say, though, oh boy, here we go, Green. That was a nice jump. All these drivers, they're not flipping and just going wild. They're just taking off. They're getting some airtime, very solid airtime at that. So well done, well composed. I feel like we may need to hand out some like 10 out of 10 cards to some of these racers. But oh boy, that's Adam going upside down. How in the hell? What is Jason Greene's car made out of? Tungsten? What's Thompson's car made out of? Rubber? That small little tap and whoop, just flipped him.
Yeah. Adam Thompson deciding to do a little bit of sunbathing there in my home track. But I tell you what, let's try and catch up with Jason Greene. I tell you what, Ron, do the honor, sir, while I cue up the footage.
Yeah, I will do that. Jason Greene now joining us in the commentary booth. And Jason, involved in a battle throughout the finish. We were mostly grading paint schemes throughout that. But I want to ask you about that battle and that very close finish with yourself and Gaspers.
Yeah, that was intense. I thought David had me, but then he just caught the red sausage curb on the uphill chicane, and that unsettled the car and allowed me to get past. And then had some lap traffic to contend with as well. So yeah, it was a lot of fun at that track. That I think that's a great combo, the V's and Cadwell.
Yeah, it looked like a really fun combination. We were kind of saying before we grabbed the green about the fact that it was maybe going to be a match made in heaven with some old school race cars driving around an old school track. So I want to ask you about that and the driving experience running that car around here.
It was intense. I honestly, before I started did some laps around it, I didn't think it would be that on the limit and technical, but it was on the limit and technical. You have to drive it, be completely committed every single corner, drive it right to the edge of the track, and push the V to its limit. So it's an intense drive around there if you want to get a good lap time.
Yeah, it looked pretty intense just from our perspective behind a microphone. Can't even imagine how it was for you behind the wheel. But coming up with the other Formula Fords in a couple of moments' time. So gonna be a part of those two races. And if so, what are your thoughts with the next two races we have for this version of the runoffs?
Brand Patch will be fun, and then Thruxton will be very interesting. That could get really wild. The draft is it's kind of like a scaled up, faster Lime Rock, I think, is how it'll race. There's really only like two braking zones and then one lift. So yeah, it could get a little crazy. Should be interesting.
Certainly going to be a very interesting race, and we'll call that interview at that, give you a bit more time to practice with the Formula Fords. But Jason, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth, and well done on the Formula V victory.
Thanks, Ron, and great job announcing the Tilly Ball last night. You did great.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. And that right there, folks, was Jason Greene. Had to move him out of the commentary booth before he threw any more compliments my way. Don't want my ego to get too big. But Zippy, pretty good start to the day. What do you think?
Oh, an absolutely fantastic start to the day. I see also as well Adam Thompson has snuck into the booth. Adam, you want to do an interview while you're in here?
Oops, sorry. I'm here with you guys for the next one. I'm here with you guys for the next one. I figured I'd commentate with you guys.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I've just realized I've opened the same song 3 times, and they're like, this isn't the song. And then I realized I was opening the wrong song. So you guys have been having some heavy metal stuff going off in the stream. I'm there confused, and then I'm like, what is this? And then I'm like, oh. The penny dropped. It's going to be one of them kind of days, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? We're going to get all of this out in week 14 and then go back to being professional SMB next week. I tell you, Adam, feel free to do an interview if you like there, sir. I am happy to have you here.
Oh, I did really no interview. That was fun. It was in the FVs, trying to race some people.
No. We're not interested in interviewing you. That you're overselling it there.
Oh, I got this guy. I got him.
There you go.
Edgar Sanchinelli, welcome in, my man. I have no idea how your race was because I was racing with you, but what'd you think of the FVs around Cadwell?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was good times. Pretty hectic, you know. I think it felt slicker than any time I had practiced. So, yeah, it was interesting to say the least. The rear felt like it was wanting to come around, but it was fun. Everybody drove pretty safe.
Where did you finish exactly?
Honestly, I don't know. I think in the S2,
P9.
probably towards the front.
Oh yes, fair. But did you finish ahead of 6th place, 7th place?
I think no, I didn't. I think
so you lost to me. That's where I was trying to get there, Edgar. But
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But anyways, Edgar. Well, are you racing the next one in the FFs?
Yeah. I'm in the car now. So yeah.
What do you think about Brands Hatch? Are you ready for it?
Oh, it's gonna be tricky. I'm sitting in the grass right now, so hopefully that's not how the race goes, you know?
Well, the clouds are dark out there, so good luck, my man, and I'll see you again in the SRF.
All right, you're not doing the Fords?
No, I'm going to hang out with these guys and do some commentary today. Why not?
Sweet. All
right, see you later, Ed.
You were afraid, huh?
Oh, hey, watch it. Get out. Kick him out. Somebody kick him out. That was Edgar Sanchinelli, and we've got one more for you guys there, I think. Ron, I'll let you have the winner, David Gaspers.
Okay, I will bring in David Gaspers. I'm still getting my shift together after that open for you joining us in the commentary booth, Adam. But David Gaspers now joining us in the commentary booth. Now, David, that looked like a pretty hard-fought race from you, battling with Tulo and Greene throughout that Formula V race. So talk us through it, my man.
Yeah, I just made too many mistakes. I haven't really driven much in general lately, and last drove this car on a normal track that wasn't a dot over last season, I think 6 months ago. So later on in the race, I was happy with my pace. I just made too many mistakes.
I mean, it was still a pretty hard-fought race from you, seeing you up towards the front of the field. That was pretty wild to see. Now, I don't think you're going to be in the Formula Ford race for the simple sake that I'm already in the session. I don't see you there. So is that going to be it for your time with us on the 43rd Weekend Warriors runoffs, or maybe going to make an appearance in the Spec Racer Fords later on?
No, that's it for me. I'm not a fan of the other two tracks, let's say it like that.
Alrighty, fair enough, man. I gotta say, though, Cadwell Park, a really fun ride in the world of motorsports. And now, because we have to switch over to the Formula Fords, I think I'll leave it at that and give you the floor if there's anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out.
No, I enjoy just thanks for the broadcast every time. It's helping the leagues a lot, I think. Otherwise, there would be less drivers.
Yeah, I think our occasional humor here on slow motion broadcasting is maybe attracting some more drivers. They just want to see the odd shows that we put on week after week. But David, thank you for the kind words. Thank you for joining us in the commentary booth, and excited to see you wherever it is in the not too distant future, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And that right there was David Gaspers, and now we gotta go over to the Formula Ford. So we'll be right back after these.
Let's very quickly. Let's just absolutely slam through these results.
Yeah,
Ron,
let's just go through.
Slam it.
Yeah, we'll just go through Greene, Gaspers, Tulo, Marzuki, Thompson, Monty, Montgomery, Reese, Sanchinelli, Jacobson, Thompson, Spallman, Tulo, Hansen, Cathcart, Poulin, Love, Paul Jackson in P18, and then looking through the rest of the field, we got Lynn, Kramer, Tufts, Roy, Mel, Sadro, Ray, Toriro. I apologize, Artur, if that is a terrible pronunciation of your last name. Telker, Salmon, not making the start. Barry and Walker running at your 30 cars that are classified. And with that taken care of, let's get over to the Formula Fords. We got a whole butt to get to, Brands. We welcome you all to slow motion for this presentation of the Formula V Weekend Warriors Series, and we're about to grab the start in just a few moments' time. It's going to be Megan Overstreet leading them to green with Ladar right alongside. We're waiting for that green flag to come at, and the drivers are now on their way. Some of these drivers may be a little bit more aggressive towards the end of this race, as side by side with Love and DeGassis heading into 5.
It's close. It's a bit treacherous on the corner. Rex is just seeing Lynn run wide there, Ron.
Down the running order, Love and Brewster, meanwhile, they have been in the tow and they've seen all these drivers try and do their own maneuvers. They definitely have something cooking behind the wheel of those FV race cars. As Montgomery gets that move done, one's running at the back. Well, not actually running right now, I don't believe, as there's a spinner with Ladar.
We are live for the first time on slow motion broadcasting with the FF Weekend Warriors. We're at Sebring this weekend. It's going to be a blast. I saw a little bit of rain here in the practice session, but we'll get to that here in 1 second. My name is Adam Thompson. I'm joined in the booth by Randall McGrew.
These three going right at it. We see you're getting really, really squirrely. There. Oh no! Some contact. Oh no! Jörg and Antonio, the two Masters leaders, both with issues and now dropping down the order.
There's a dicing through the curbs. Our lead 2. As that's Instaman just slossing it up the inside through McIntyre there. Beautifully done by the Icelandic driver as there's a big incident happened behind somewhere. Gonzaga losing a lot of places back.
Almost touching at that point. They're around there heading into the closing stages of the track. Not quite there yet. Heading through what I'm calling the horseshoe, but let's not get into my drawing skills at this point. Nothing but clear track ahead of them at this point, so no one should be able to interfere in that battle. Side by side, nearly had contact there. That's going to put Kabanka on the inside for this next hairpin. This could be what decides it, and he's gone right on the outside, actually trying to cover off the car. I do wonder if Barry is going to be close enough to potentially slipstream. They've got 2 corners left to go. This is penultimate one now. Barry right up close, 0.3 of a second. I'm not sure it's going to be close enough, 0.2 of a second. He's got to keep his foot on that loud pedal. Catches a little bit of a curve, but has Kabanka done it? Barry going to the inside, and Kabanka gets it.
the field in Castro's hands, and he's going immediately. Gets a good jump there over Green, and is pulling away. He is gapping early, even moving over to try to break up any sort of slip.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to possibly the funniest broadcast I've ever been a part of. It's the Week 14 V runoffs here in the Weekend Warriors world. This is the 43rd running of the V Weekend Warriors runoffs. My name is Ron Maunz. Adam Thompson now joining us in the commentary booth with that guns blazing opening. Well done, Adam. We were joking in that small little break. That was possibly the hardest I've ever laughed in my entire time doing some broadcasting. But we're here for the Formula Fords. This is part 2 of 3, and this is going to be a really good show here at Brands Hatch, a track that we visited in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors this past season. Adam, if my memory serves me correctly, you were a part of that broadcast, part of that race, I should say. So, got a little bit of experience under your belt heading into this race, albeit we were running on the Indy layout, I think, instead of the full Grand Prix that we'll be running today.
Yeah, Ron, in case you haven't realized, and Zippy, I will tell you right now before we get into this that I am not getting any types of overlays and I'm not getting any cams either, so I'll have to fix that. But, Ron, to your question, when it comes to Brands Hatch, I'm staring right now at a corner and it's got elevation change. In case you didn't realize, I don't like elevation change. I like nice flat tracks. I'm from Indiana. It's flat out there. Indianapolis is flat. Everywhere I do well is very flat. So, when it comes to a track like this, I did not do well there, and I hope that these drivers can not do what I did, but there's so much elevation change here, Ron, coming over the tops of these corners, especially in these FFs. They have enough downforce, but not enough to keep them on the ground coming over the tops of hills. So get ready for some deaths wherever there's an elevation change.
Yee howdy. I think that's the best word I could use to try and describe the action that we're going to be having. It will be like a rodeo for some of these racers trying to tame the bull, so to speak. We're going to use every single phrase that we possibly can throughout today's racing. But we're in the midst of this qualifying session right now. I'm trying to see how many minutes we have on the board right now. There we go. 7.5 minutes into this 10-minute long qualifying session with a lot of heavy hitters that we saw throughout this past Formula Ford Weekend Warriors season. You've got the Masters champion of Maunz running with us in the Spec 2 category. As we mentioned earlier on, our very own SMB colleague, Mr. Joshua Wilkie, not able to join us. He sings the national anthem at Moose races, so he is not going to be joining us here today. But still, we got the likes of Jason Greene, who we just saw take the checkered flag in the Formula Vs. We've got some other drivers running as well. Nils Sentkowski, I believe would be the pronunciation of the driver currently slotted in 4th in the number 34 car. Lots of drivers in this field that we've got at the moment. Adam, currently looking through, we've got 33 cars setting a time thus far, so pretty stacked field.
Yeah, it absolutely is going to be one. I mean, these Formula Fords, there's always people you've got to... All right, sorry, I'm looking at Discord chat, and Zippy's confusing the heck out of me right now. But yeah, I mean, all of the regulars that we've got. Jason Greene is going to be in here. I see Soren Garrett's as well. Antonio, I bet you Jurg Monty's going to be up there. Thor Tulo, not really around for the FF, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does. We know how fast he is in the Formula Vs, though. Got Michelle Lynn. I do believe Trenton Kramer had to go to the garage, so... Oh, no, he is in here. So, yeah, we've got a bunch of people. Boris, I've seen him chatting. I think Zippy might know Boris. I've never seen him around before, so it's going to be fun to see him. But, yeah, keep an eye out for the original, not the originals, the OGs, I would say. Antonio... Jason Greene, Daniel Tufts, Alan DeGasis, Trenton Kramer. Edgar is going to be quick as well. So yeah, it's going to be a good race.
Oh, and you can see Sadro taking a one-way trip into the outside gravel trap heading out of turn number 7. Saw that gravel kicked up, and that's one thing that we may need to keep in mind for this race. Running around an old school track, getting the hiccups all of a sudden, that is not ideal whenever I'm on the air. Sadro, I think we're going to do a brief little onboard lap in giant air quotes. I think he's going to be coming 10 bit late. All right, well, here's a tour of the pit lane around this track. Got some nice brick walls on the right-hand side. Got a red wall there. Oh, boy.
Oh, my gosh,
Kate
Rob.
Lasky did a pretty good time, currently in
No guided
second
lap
behind
today.
Soren Garrett. So that is a nice guide of the pit entry around this track. A 25-minute race that we have coming up. Hopefully, these drivers will not have to make a trip through the pits. However, they will have to make a trip through this formation lap. Soren Garrett's in the number 2 car, going to be starting at the front. Kane Lasky going to join him on the front row. Then we have Jörg Mani, the driver from Switzerland, going to be starting. Would that be, the Swiss driver? I nearly said Swedish. He's definitely not from Sweden. Either way, he's going to be starting in 3rd. Next to another Masters racer in the form of Antonio Rees, and that's we have in P5, Nils Sentkowski in the number 34 car. I had to stall there a little bit if you couldn't tell, so I can make sure the name pronunciation was correct. He's going to be starting in 5th. Andrew Hoggart going to be starting in 6th. Chris Montgomery in 7th. Andrew Love in P8. Thor Tulo in 9th. Jason Greene in 10th. Bill Walker in 11th. Daniel Tufts starting this race in P number 12. And looking through the rest of the starters that we have in, I'll do the top 20. I'll get that taken care of. Adam, I'll let you get a word in edgewise momentarily. We got John Toms in 13th. Alan DeGassis in P14. Michelle Lynn in 15th. Dan Sadro in the 16th spot. Boris Essman in 17th. Trenton Kramer in P18. Starting this race in 19th is going to be Edgar Sancinelli. And then looking through and running at your top 20 is going to be Jesus Rodriguez.
Well, you're going to have to keep going, Ron, because I see absolutely no standings right now. So it's all up to you for this one.
Gotcha. The world depends on me. That is gross over-exaggeration. Phil Berry starting this race in 21st. Stevie Ray starting in 22nd. Artur Luriero starting this race in 23rd. I swear every single time I say that gentleman's last name, it's a different pronunciation. I apologize. Luriero. There we go. Thank you, Zippy, for that. Matt Thompson going to be starting in 24th. The Fritos Ford racer in the 233 car. Guido Rizuki in 25th. Russell Telker in 26th. Jeff Jacobson in 27th. Brad Cathcart in 28th. Starting this race in 29th is going to be Jason Grider. Paul Jackson in 30th. Seth Bowman in 31st. Ken Poulin in 32nd. Mikey Roy in 33rd. Yeah. Michael Nelson, the Danish driver, in 34th. There we go. Can't even say the numbers right. And Adam going to be starting this race in 35th. So far back from the pole sitter, he's actually going to be in the commentary booth at the start of this race rather than on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I may have some type of thing going on here. We may be looking at some people here. I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting any timing towers, and I can't watch your stream, Ron, but we are looking at the number 2 right now in the lead of this race, so I'm going to let you take it. And I just want to mention, Ron, before we get to this race, I don't know if you've mentioned the updated iRacing graphics yet, but look at all that gravel getting kicked up by all of those drivers.
Oh, I am crying on behalf of these drivers. I remember in my karting days, this was one of the first events of the 2022 season, long before I ever got into running my mouth for a living. I was running around this track, which is part of a disused, it was part of the Johnsville Naval Air Development Station right outside the city of Philadelphia. Really getting deep into the history before we grab the green in this race. I want to return to this broadcast to some sort of normality. But I was running in my cart, and kicking off from one of the front tires was a small little stone, small little pebble, if you would, probably about like 1/8 of an inch. It slammed into my knuckle, and I swear to God, I could not move my finger properly for another like week and a half afterwards. So these drivers, I think, very lucky that the only thing they have to deal with is a drop in grip so bad they may take a one-way trip into the barrier, which honestly, it's either that or finger pain.
Yeah. I couldn't hear anything you were going to say, Ron. We're going to get this worked out, man, but just keep talking. I know you're good at talking by yourself.
Yes, I mean, I was always the lonely kid in school, so I was very accustomed to talking to myself.
I've been dancing on my own.
Oh boy, howdy! I think doing the Chili Bowl broadcast yesterday may have actually broken me. I'm like speaking in tongues throughout this broadcast already. But nevertheless, ready to get things up and rolling from this race. I heard that impersonation speaking in tongues. If you trust me, I've seen enough bad stuff in weird motels in the Midwest to know that people can talk.
Keep it clean, Ron. Keep it clean.
Well. Here we go. Ready to get things up and rolling from this race. The field now in the hands of our front row sitters. Two very fast drivers, Soren Garrett and Kane Lasky, getting that green right about now. The drivers are on their way off into turn number 1. It's a good start from Garrett. He's going to be leading them comfortably. Lasky running in second. Some side-by-side racing with the two Masters competitors, Amani and Reese. Look a little bit farther in the back. That's a big amount of drama heading off through turn number 1. You can see the smoke going up in the air. That is a slip and slide of gravel heading through. Looks like they're running in the rain. It is unbelievable. Although the smoke in the air looks like a beautiful clear morning in Beijing, China. But these racers heading their way off through the first sector right now. Soren Garrett getting off. What's the opposite of a flyer? He's getting off to a crasher of a start, running down in 5th in the number 2 car. That is a rough start for the Belgian man. Looking at John Toms in the 977 car, running at the moment a little bit farther in the back, and 14th. Relegated. Look, that is insane. Look at that gravel. That is unbelievable. The amount of smoke coming up in the air. Going to give these drivers some possible lung conditions that they may have to deal with throughout the rest of their life, considering the amount of smoke going up in the air. Got to wonder a bit if there's any sort of asbestos in the gravel traps, but nevertheless, look at nearly 3-wide action coming out of turn number 5, and that's some off-track excursion that I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, going off was, I think that may have been Tulo that we just saw go off. Looking through, I thought that was Jeff Jacobson at first. He's a little bit farther in the back. I think that's Kramer. A spin right behind them. That's Trent Kramer going off the track.
Oh my
Looks
goodness.
like he was joined. Not sure who that was, but that was a big moment for Kramer. He's still stopped in the 444 car. A major amount of drama for Trent.
Yes, it was. And I mean, it's tough to imagine, or it's crazy to think that was the first time that it happened, with the amount of dust getting kicked up by these drivers and with the gravel. But real quick in the chat, hey Tam, I wanted to say hi to you. Obviously a big supporter of the Weekend Warriors, so it's good to see you in the chat. Jabarillo, RGL Motorsports, everybody in there is it's really cool to see everybody. But yes, Trenton Kramer did have a big issue. If we can go back to the top of your Zippy, I want to mention Soren Garrett did not have the greatest of starts, and look who's there. Without somebody to run into the back of him during the pace lap, Jörg Monty is sitting up at the front of the grid right now, and that is somewhere that Jörg is not going to be able. Jörg is not the type to give that position away easily, so this is going to be a battle if Kane Lasky gets to him.
At this point, Monty is hoping for a battle, I'm sure. He wants to see what Lasky's got,
Christmas
because
paint.
at the moment, it's a hard fight. I think there may have been some drama a little bit farther in the back, but looking now, riding on board with Kane Lasky in that 09 car. Look at that, beautiful. The Grinch. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch in the 9114 car. I cannot sing at all, which is why I don't dare, Mr. Grinch.
You can stop anytime now, Ron. Yep,
I can mute him.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I am so sorry to the viewers, but we are back to the racing. All of a sudden, it is about to be 3 wide. Kane Lasky, Antonio Reese, Jörg Monty going for it. Looks like Antonio Reese is going to get that position. Maybe he's taking his driver now. This is a smart move by Antonio Reese just to get that pit stop out of the way. He was mired up in traffic. Let's see where he comes out and see if he can get any free air. Now that's going to make a big difference here when it comes to Jörg Monty and Kane Lasky, because they have not done their driver yet.
Oh, and looking at that, that's a 775 car, I believe, coming out of the pits. That, I think, is a Rudolph-looking car. Look at the gravel through turn number 2. That's absolutely ridiculous. That, I believe, that's Mikey Roy. Looking at that car, I think I saw a little bit of discussion about it before this broadcast started. Lots of Christmas liveries up and down the grid. Alan DeGasse is not really running a Christmas livery. I think that or my paint software is failing me at the worst possible time. I think there may have been some drama a little bit farther in the back. Michelle Lynn in the 215 car. Usually see her as a staple in the Formula V Weekend Warriors series, so let's see what happened to her. Heading her way off through turn number 1 right now, entering slip and slide. This is turn number 2. Let's see what happened here. You can see it's like a rally course more than anything else, and she got T-boned by Stevie. More cars coming in to make contact with the both of them as they form a parking lot in turn 2.
Yeah, that is not going to go well, and if my audio is crashing, guys, I can leave and come back. I'm sorry for the weird stream that we got going on right now. Been a last-minute thing, but yeah, anyways, back to the racing action here. Alan DeGasis is still fighting, to say the least, but yeah, it's not going well, but there it goes, and that was just, no.
Ow.
Oh, that was a
Well-
big crash heading off through turn 5.
Rest in peace.
I would pour one out, but I just took the last sip out of the drink that I had on my desk. So that's
Yolks in the pits.
that's got to be fruitless. I got to say, just specify this quite quickly, considering some of the odd things that I've said during this broadcast, is that
There we
Dr.
go.
Pepper, just be quite clear, we're not affiliated or sponsored at all by Dr. Pepper, just to make clear
Not
as
yet.
well. Not yet. Thank you very much, Zippy. Hey, Doctor, if anyone's listening from Dr. Pepper or 7-Up, wants if anyone's listening in from Dr. Pepper Corporation, hey, if you want to throw us some money to do these broadcasts, we certainly would not mind that one bit. Looks like we have another person joining us in the commentary booth. Stevie, welcome to the Madhouse.
Hey, bud. Good to see you guys.
I don't know if you've watched the show yet, Stevie, but we're definitely having a who up in here. But we just saw a little bit of an incident there with yourself and Michelle. It wasn't exactly what you had in mind. Nothing really you could do in that aspect. But it appears to be that Brands Hatch has become a little bit of a beach. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Man, it is dusty. I was just telling the guys on track, this is going to be a new dimension to the season, this coming season. You better have the tearaways mapped to your wheel or something, because it's almost as bad or worse than the rain at points.
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what, Stevie, can you see my screen, actually, if you look in your Discord?
Yeah, just a second. Let me take a look.
We're going to have a little bit of fun. So Stevie Ray, absolutely fantastic race organizer, but how about commentator? Let's see if the man himself can commentate on the action. You can see right now what I am seeing, and you can see here Kane Lasky is currently in second. He has Nils Senkovsky behind him. Stevie, would you like to do the honor, sir? Take us through a lap of commentary.
Oh, man, I don't know. That's not my ball game, but yeah. Coming out
Sprinkle
of
some pixie dust on top of you, Zippy. Don't. I'll sprinkle some pixie dust on Stevie and Zippy for that matter.
If you want to give it correct, Stevie.
There, trust me.
If you're up for it, sir, I'm up for it. If not, we're going to let it run loose again.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll fill in and answer some questions, but I'm not a play-by-play guy.
Take it away, Ron.
Alrighty, will do. Looking at some side-by-side battles here. This is Chris Montgomery and Jason Greene going side-by-side down the hill off into turn number 5. It looks like Montgomery got to get that move done to slip his way up into 6th. Now, Stevie, that's usually a move that we see around this racetrack, which is a bit on the harder end to overtake. You're out there, albeit a little bit briefly, with that moment with you and Michelle heading off through the slip and slide bend, as we're calling it, of turn number 2. Yeah. So I want to ask you about how difficult it is to overtake around this track. Looking pretty tough at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It's a little tough to overtake. You get a little bit of a draft down the straight, and about the time you think you want to pull out and do it, then you've got to start thinking about braking and lining up for the next corner. So it definitely makes it a little tough.
I can imagine it's really tricky trying to get a move done, especially in Formula Fords, where one wrong move can result in you ending up in low Earth orbit. So I'm sure kind of adds a little bit of an extra element to that as well. Don't want to go for too risky of a maneuver, otherwise it's going to end in tears. Seeing Boris Essman come down pit lane right now, so the German running in the 11th spot. Some shuffling as well. I think Kane Lasky may have just had a moment. He's dropped down to 3rd. I want to ask you real quick about this, Stevie, and the drive-thrus that these drivers are going to have to serve. So I want to ask you about the decision making to have this as a nice little thing to keep tabs on throughout this day of racing.
Yeah, we've done it for a couple of seasons now in the V runoffs. Decided not to go for the full out. Oh, there's a slide.
Kafka.
No, can't get it.
And that's Cathcart taking a one-way trip through the gravel and running even more gravel out onto the racetrack. I think we could probably describe this as more of like it's a slip and slide. It's like a rallycross version of Brands Hatch. I know that iRacing does have that, but I think even then, the run through turn 2, which I believe is named Druids, unless my memory is failing me at this exact point in time. I think even on the rallycross version, there's less gravel heading through that corner. So iRacing's graphics really getting pushed up to the limit now.
Yeah. So, anyway, back to the fuel and the pit stop. We decided to keep the strategy of a pit stop involved in these races, but not to really require the fuel stop. So a drive-through, you still got to get it right to enter pit, exit, all that stuff, and when you want to do it and where you're going to come out. It adds that little bit of strategy and fun to it, something different. So yeah, we decided to keep it for these and you know, make it a little different, have some fun with it.
It throws a nice little wrench in the works as well. I remember a couple of seasons ago, I think the last time I did one of these broadcasts for the 41st, running under the lights at Daytona with a broadcaster that we will not mention by name. Something, I think it's Exit Curb Radio, whatever the world, Exit Curb Strolling Radio Broadcasting, whatever the name of that company is. I don't know. They don't do as good of shows as SMB does. But I remember that running under the lights at Daytona, and that threw a big element in the work. So here with the UK Tour, got the paint schemes to worry about. I think Russ Telker may have just had a couple of moments ago, heading off through turn number 1. He's had to tow back to the pits entirely, so that's going to be a tough break for Telker. But always have to have a small little element to keep these drivers on their toes.
Yeah, it like I said, it adds something a little different from the officials, and that's what we like to do with the Weekend Warriors, make it a little something different than the weekly official series. But yeah, we thought the races are long enough, and usually the pit road is long enough to make a difference. The last race with the V's, that pit road didn't really do a whole lot for the drive-through, but we it still threw it in there.
Yeah, it's always, you got to have something to add a little bit of spice to it. You know, I mean, I feel like I can't really speak. I am about as pale as a toilet seat, so I do not handle spice well at all. But these racers certainly giving us some spicy battles, and we're seeing one right now with Senkowski and Lasky side by side heading off into turn number 1 right now. Looks, actually, no, my apologies there. That's Lasky and Tulo. I apologize for that. Still battling, though, for the final podium spots. Tulo, nice to see him out here on the racetrack. Stevie, I know you got a chance to talk to him not terribly long ago. I think it was at the start of October for episode 9, unless my memory serves me correctly, of the Racing Line podcast, talking about Tulo, a real-life Formula V driver from the UK, making some appearances here in the Formula 4. It's nice to see him out here because he is like just brilliantly quick.
Yeah, he's really good in the Formula Vs. It's good to see him jump up to the Formula Fords. His racecraft is definitely going to be there. He'd said that he's got to get a little handle on the Fords to be more competitive, and it looks like he's doing that exactly.
He is doing a very good job at the moment. I believe he was running at Tsukuba for the season finale just 1 week ago, so nice to see him out on the racetrack again. And who knows, maybe you'll see him in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors Series for 2025 Season 1. So gives the people more of a reason to tune in here to SMB to never miss out on any of the racing action. And Stevie, I know you're kind of going into this expecting to be behind the wheel. Now that you're here in the commentary booth, I want to ask you a quick question. Is it a bit less stressful being here in the commentary booth instead of behind the wheel?
No. Especially when Zippy throws it at me to try to commentate. Like that, no.
I left the door open. You didn't have to walk through it. That's okay.
That's true. Hey, Ron, I got to throw out to you, bud. Got a little piece of your broadcast last night with the iRacing group. Great job. Good to see you moving up and doing some of that stuff. Congrats.
Oh, thank you, Stevie. I really appreciate that. I gotta say, honestly, and I'm probably going to mention this again before we wrap up this show, the Weekend Warriors world has just been so supportive. Seeing all the messages in the YouTube chat last night, even from you as well, Stevie, just really appreciating that. And apparently got some okay reviews from my colleagues during that broadcast. So I guess I didn't sound like too much of a wacko like I usually do on the air, but still, Stevie.
That's first.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. Perfect way to come in here, guns blazing again.
How are you guys doing with the Christmas paints this time? Did you have a favorite in the V's and what you looking at here?
We're trying to zoom in on the paints right now. So this one we got is John Tom's. I think Antonio so far is winning it on my side. He's got the Grinch on the front of his car, and we're just going through trying to find the rest of the paints at the minute. Hank Melee won in the FE though. He had 4 votes.
All right.
Also had the vote from me, if that accounts for absolutely anything at all. Gotta say though, that car of Tom's is looking pretty nice. Is that yeah, I was about to say the peanuts on the side of it, so that's pretty nice.
Good.
And a nice little bit of nice little story.
Oh no!
Green?
That is Green going off the track, heading through turn number 7. That's gonna take him out of a good running spot. One in the Formula V's, not gonna get the job done in the Formula Fords. Right as I was going to share a story from my childhood, Green stealing the show in the 160 car, going off the track through turn number 7, drifts wide, hits that grass, and bang, into the wall.
Well, Ron, I do have to say something here. Jason Greene, if you listen to this broadcast later, it's not fine. It is not fine anymore, Jason. But, well, he made it. He made it almost halfway through the race. A little bit more than halfway through the race. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stevie. Back to you. All right, back to Ron. Back to Ron.
Pass the parcel, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll take the heat off you, Stevie. Don't worry. Trust me, Stevie. The feeling that you just had, I still feel that to this day. Whenever I'm like taking a sip and just like dissociate for a couple of moments, I need to just to say something to kind of break the ice on all of that. But believe me, I have been there before. God say the Peanut Gang. The good little story that I was going to share before Greene augured into that outside barrier coming into turn number 8 a couple of moments ago. As a kid, I used to carry around a blanket with me all the time. It was a Disney-inspired Winnie the Pooh blanket. Used to drag it around everywhere, so my family always called me Linus. So that's a nice little Christmas story. Merry Christmas, everybody. So with that not very entertaining childhood story out of the way, I'm a boring person as is, let alone my childhood. Getting back to the action and following Antonio Reese at the moment. Now, does this man have another Christmas livery? He does, because he had the Grinch on the front of it, which caused my terrible singing.
That's my favorite right now is Antonio's.
100%.
Yeah, he's been busy.
Oh yeah, he has. I mean, Antonio's looking that paint. I've got to say, I'm out of this one because I haven't been part of the original commentary booth here. But if I'm looking at Antonio Reese's paint right now, it's a good one. I like it with the Grinch on the front. Exactly what Antonio likes to do on the track is just intimidate everybody else around him. I think is perfect for Antonio Reese. But looking here through the paints now, trying to see if we can see a few more. I really don't think there are that many out there. I think it's going to be between Antonio Reese and John Toms.
I'm looking through, trying to see if there are any out there on the racetrack. Here we go. Spolman with the Home Alone looking scheme. I don't know about you, gentlemen, but I kind of like this from the number 26.
That is a good one, actually. If we can get a, maybe, I don't know if you can do a front chase Zippy, if it allows you to do it so we can see it from the front. But yeah, there we go. There he is. That is definitely a Home Alone livery there for Seth Spolman, and I take back my vote for Antonio Reese, and I send it straight to Seth Spolman.
I'm still sick of Antonio Reese myself. I get Home Alone is Christmassy, but it's like secondhand Christmas, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, if we're going to get into arguments here, let's just not talk about Die Hard not being Christmassy, guys.
I literally saw a reel with Bruce Willis complaining that it's not just a Christmas movie.
We're talking about racing here. We're not talking about Christmas, so I'm sorry we're getting off track here. Looking here at Jörg Mani right now. Well, we're going back through the rest of the field, but Jörg Mani is really pulled himself out of a pretty good gap here. It doesn't look like Kane Lasky's got anything for him, Ron.
Oh, yeah, 4.7 seconds. He's entirely checked out, and that is a strong feat as well.
Christmas paint.
He's a quick racer. Lasky is as well. Then we got another Christmas car. It's the Rudolph car of Mikey Roy in the 775. There he is. He's got the red-nosed cone.
Red-nosed reindeer. Has a very shiny nose.
So, yeah, I'm going to try to talk over Zippy because his singing is almost as bad as yours, Ron. But, yes, it does. I see the red nose cone there. He's done quite a bit of work. I mean, that's painting these. I do want to talk about, while we're talking about paints, before we get back to the race, I want you guys to understand that these FFs look very simple. There's not that many panels on them, but they are extremely difficult to paint. There are quite a few little nooks and crannies, especially if you're doing it in Photoshop. So the fact that these guys have done as well as they have to make these paints pretty last minute, really. I mean, Stevie has been talking about this week 13 for a while, but really the Christmas paint thing came out a couple weeks ago. So great job to all the people that have spent the time and the effort to make all of these paints. No matter who wins, it's just cool to see people start getting into that festive spirit a bit.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it. It was something different to add to this V runoffs, and I don't know where that thought came from, but I thought, okay, let's put some holiday paints up and give some guys a little something else to show what they do. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
great to see them.
It really is. It's pretty cool. But man, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, you got to stop going to Antonio Reese because he is. Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job with that paint. Not doing so great on the track there, though, Ron. 6th place, second, though, in Masters. And, hey, Stevie, while we have you in here, I don't know if you can say much yet, but there may be maybe coming next season, might be a bit of a mix-up here for some classes and divisions. Talk us through the Formula Vs, maybe. there might be a bit of a mix-up.
Yeah, I sent out an announcement this morning in the Discord that next season we are moving the limit on Spec 1 up to 3,500, and that anybody above that is going to be Spec 1, and that includes the Masters drivers. So there are Masters aliens like Jorg, Antonio, a few others are going to be moving up to Spec 1 where they compete there regularly, so that's really where they should be. And then our Masters are going to be below 3,500, just like the Spec 2 guys. So that'll make a little bit of change this season. And we're still kicking it around for the Vs, but I think you're going to see the Masters join that league as well.
So we're talking below 3,500 and above 60 in age, correct, Stevie, for the Masters next season?
Correct. Yeah, we're going to leave the Masters above 60 and above, and below a 3,500 I rating. Now, if somebody below 3,500 wants to run in Spec 1, they are more than welcome to jump up. We won't keep them from doing that.
Can I just ask a quick question? That when you say below 60, you mean age, not IQ, right? Because I know that if you have an IQ-based classing system, I definitely want to put myself in the lower tier, if that's fine.
You need both.
Yeah. There's a difference between IR and IQ. Let's be honest here. And Zippy may have some good IR. He lacks a bit on the IQ part of it. But with that being said, we're looking for a battle here. Boris Esman and Jeff Jacobson going at it, going into turn 1.
Oh, and you can see Esman sideways getting that move done to slip his way up into 11th. I gotta say, it's a very good thing that in the Weekend Warriors world, the racers are judged by I rating instead of IQ. Because if I ever joined the series, I'd probably end up in Spec 500.
Same.
At these drivers. Oh boy. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The shoe fits based off some of the stuff that I've said in broadcasts over the years. Looking at that.
Oh my goodness. How is this gravel not gone away? Look what it's doing to these drivers right here. That's Edgar Santinelli around. There's still gravel on the track right here, and it is causing massive problems even on the racing line. They cannot get away from the gravel.
Speaking of the racing line, you can tune into that on the Right Esports YouTube channel every single Tuesday.
Shameless plug.
That was a shameless plug. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Oh boy, here's a side-by-side fight with Adam Bradshaw and Michelle Lynn. Looks like they're going to single file out, heading off into turn number 5. Stevie, hope I did you proud with that shameless plug.
Yeah.
The check cleared.
Awesome. And our Racing Line podcast Tuesday night. Special guest is going to be Yangtze Lin. Oh, here we go. There goes Adam.
Yeah, Adam Bradshaw around again. But yes, Yangtze Lin, a very, very, I would say, incorporated member of the Weekend Warriors Society. Been around for quite a while. Extremely fast in the SRFs. So it's going to be good to see his point of view of things. He's going to college over here, actually, in the U.S., and it's crazy to think. There are some questions I got to ask him about trying to balance his college career with his iRacing career, because he has got to be good and got to be doing good in school if he's still over here, and we know he's fast in the SRFs as well.
Yeah, I saw a picture once of his rig set up in the dorm room, a little tiny corner or something. I was amazed that he does as good as what he does with what he had. So it'll be interesting and great to hear from Yangtze and all his different experiences. And then we're going to take a couple of weeks off because it's going to be right at Christmas time and New Year's time for the next two. And then we'll set up the racing line to come back after the first of the year.
And I do have one more question for you here, Stevie. This is a Weekend Warriors broadcast, basically. So when it comes to Christmas time here, what is going to be the schedule when it comes to the Weekend Warriors itself? The FV, the FF, and the SRFs. Are you taking a break over Christmas, or are we going to have some races to broadcast all the way through?
I think we're going to have races to broadcast all the way through, since the league is on Saturday and Sunday, and Christmas. Oh, there we go. Boris. Yeah, the Christmas Eve and Christmas, New Year's Eve, and New Year's is like Tuesday, Wednesday. So I think it's far enough away from that date that we'll go ahead and run it. We've skipped in the past when the league actually fell on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So,
right.
Yeah, I think we'll be going ahead and run the leagues all the way through.
All right, absolutely. We got to get back to the racing here, Stevie. I'm sorry, but remember what I said about Jörg Mani and nobody catching him? I don't think Jörg Mani had taken his mandatory drive-through pit stop yet. Kane Lasky, with 30 seconds to go in the race, has absolutely blitzed Jörg Mani. Now, 5 seconds up. Now, the one thing we haven't been paying attention to with Kane Lasky is, has he taken his drive-through stop yet? Or his drive-through, I should say.
Yeah, that is a very good question, Zippy. I'm curious if we can maybe jump to Kane Lasky, go and do some investigative journalism as Lasky gets sucked up by a UFO there for a second. The invisibility cloak working wonders in that 09 car. Looking through in terms of lap time, so he's not come in yet. I was looking through at the lap times. He's not had any slow or like incredibly slow laps. He's now, has he taken the checkered flag? I think he just did. Yes, he did. So Kane Lasky going to win it, but he did not take that drive-through penalty unless he just drove through going about 14 times the speed of sound. But Kane Lasky, that may be, Stevie, you may need to slap him on the wrist for that.
Well, I told him in the email I sent out with the info for the session, if you don't do a drive-through, that's a 2-minute penalty. So that'll knock him back.
So we've got it. All right, so here we go. Looking at people that have not stopped yet. There's been quite a few. So Kane Lasky, Antonio Reese, Bill Walker, Jeff Jacobson, John Toms, Jesus Rodriguez, Brad Cathcart, Matt Thompson. A lot of these drivers, I'm sorry, Matt Thompson did stop, but a lot of these drivers have not stopped. So Jesus Rodriguez here, another one coming across the line in 13th place, but that is going to be a 2-minute penalty at the end of this. So there's going to be a massive shakeup in points because of this.
I gotta say, Adam, actually looking at it, I'm just going off of this based off pit lane time on our live timing software. I think the only one that didn't actually come in was Lasky. Some of them didn't stop in their box, but Lasky, either way, that's going to be a costly penalty for him. 2 minutes, that's about a lap and a quarter. So actually a lap and a third. You can tell I was great in math as a kid in school, but Lasky, that's going to be a pretty big screw-up for him. That's going to take him out of the win. So it's going to be Jörg Mani taking it as a Masters driver to win this version of the runoff. So well done to Jörg.
Absolutely. Congrats to Jörg. And if Kane Lasky hops into this interview waiting room, I'm going to let you go ahead and have that interview, Ron. But looking at the results as they stand right now, Kane Lasky in first place, Jörg Mani in second. That is bound to change. Antonio Reese is going to move from third to second. Look at all of these drivers right now and expect them to go up one position. Thor Tulo in fourth. Nils Sinkowski in fifth, Daniel Tufts in sixth. Chris Montgomery takes the S2 win with Andrew Love in second, Bill Walker in third, and Philip Berry in fourth in class. Jeff Jacobson comes home 11th with John Toms in 12th. Jesus Rodriguez in 13th. Boris Essman 14th. Brad Cathcart 15th. Matt Thompson in 16th. Paul Jackson and Michelle Lynn round out your top 18.
We're going to look through the rest of the drivers that we've classified from this race, and as Adam said, it may need to add one more spots to this, well, subtract one spot from a lot of these drivers. Adam Hogart going to be finishing this race at 19th on the road. Edgar Sancinelli going to round out your on-road top 20. Then we have Dan Sandro right behind in 21st. Trent Kramer in 22nd. Seth Spolman in 23rd. Michael Nelson, the Dane, in the 951 car going to finish in 24th. Then we have Mikey Roy in 25th. Adam Bradshaw in 26th. God, Zippy, what was the pronunciation of this gentleman's name that we agreed
Lurero.
on?
That's what I'm going with.
There we go. Lurero in the 419 car got finished in 27th. Oh, what is Guido Marzuka? I didn't even know what you said for a second there, Adam. I thought you had been, I don't know, attacked. I'm not sure what was going on there a couple of moments ago, but Guido finishes in 28th. Jason Greene going to finish down in 29th. Ken Poulin, Russ Telker, Jason Grider, Soren Garrett, Alan DeGassis, Stevie Ray, and Adam Thompson rounding out your 36 cars that are classified from this race.
Come on, Thompson.
I think with that taken care of, we can. Do we have any drivers waiting in the interview waiting area? Does anyone want to have a chat with us? And we've got some nice snacks here in the commentary booth. Stevie, you can now attest to that. So I don't know what it is. We need to chase some of these drivers in here with a stick or something.
Yeah, we got to get somebody in here, but real quick here, we've been talking about, the racing, and we really didn't talk about the racing that much in this broadcast because I was having some computer issues. It sounds like there were quite a few people having some issues on track and off the track, aka me. But with that being said, Ron, I'm going to send it over to you because I know you've been broadcasting here quite a bit. That gravel on the road seems to be causing some huge issues. I know this has been a developing thing for iRacing for quite a few years. They've come out with it after the rain, but it looks treacherous there, and it just seems... I mean, at what point are they going to start thinking about, if there's too much debris on the track, throwing an iRacing yellow flag? Do we think cautions on road courses are coming next?
I just got some terrible flashbacks of watching NASCAR races and seeing debris cautions. That's what I just got fast forwarded into. I certainly won't rule it out, though, honestly, Adam, because that was nuts. It got to the certain point where it felt like some of these drivers had to go around the track with a fine-tooth comb to actually figure out where the racetrack was. It was just a sea of gravel more than anything else, but I mean, just from our perspective in the broadcast as well, Zippy, I gotta say, I feel bad for you, man. I'm sure your PC was sounding like a plane gang ready to take off with all that
Not
stuff
on fire
to
yet, Ron.
load as they head through turn number 2. That must not have been a pleasant experience at all for your graphics card.
I gotta be honest.
Absolutely not. But real quickly here, Zippy, sorry I forgot
Yep,
to,
go ahead.
or not. I didn't forget. I just like talking over you because
I know.
honestly, like, who cares? Who cares about Zippy? He owns it. It doesn't matter. Whatever. But anyways,
Screw that guy.
moving on. We've got Thruxton coming up, Stevie, and I'm coming to you. First of all, are you racing? And second of all, that seems like a track that is going to be extremely fast in the SRFs.
It is. It's a wide track. It is a very fast, going to be a really draft heavy track. Think back to Watkins Glen, Spa, some of your heavier draft tracks. This one's going to be right up there with it. So it's pretty flat. There's a few areas that you have some elevation changes, but yeah, this one they say is the fastest track in the UK, and I have no doubt about it. And
Well,
yeah,
I
think I'm going to go jump into it and see what happens. But thanks, Guy, for having me. And we'll see what happens on the next one.
Absolutely. Real quick, Stevie, before we let you go, it sounds
Yes,
like
sir.
Antonio Reese has won the paints for the Formula Ford. So we have two
Awesome.
different winners now. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, this is going to go up to a vote, and Stevie's going to probably tally him up here at the end. But yeah, congrats to Antonio Reese on winning the paint job for that session. And Stevie Ray, it looks like you are now part of the commentary crew here. We've got you in the booth now, Stevie, so thank you so much for joining us.
Yep. Thanks, guys. And if things don't go as well again, then I may be back.
All right, sounds good. We'd love to have you.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to start talking then. All right. I believe I've broken Ron's name. It's now Rayoon Maunz. Sorry about that. It's our exotic import version. Don't ask me how I've done that. But we are going to take a short break as we switch over the session. We'll be back very, very shortly. We'll have myself, Adam Thompson, and the one and only Ron Maunz very soon. But give us a little bit of a minute. We'll be back in just a few moments. Thank you very much.
We welcome you all to slow motion for this presentation of the Formula V Weekend Warriors Series, and we're about to grab the start in just a few moments' time. It's going to be Megan Overstreet leading them to green with Ladar right alongside. We're waiting for that green flag to come at, and the drivers are now on their way. Some of these drivers may be a little bit more aggressive towards the end of this race, as side by side with Love and DeGassis heading into 5.
It's close. It's a bit treacherous on the corner. Rex is just singling run wide there, Ron.
Down the running order, Love and Brewster, meanwhile, they have been in the tow and they've seen all these drivers try and do their own maneuvers. They definitely have something cooking behind the wheel of those FV race cars. As Montgomery gets that move done, one's running at the back. Well, not actually running right now, I don't believe, as there's a spinner with Ladar.
We are live for the first time on slow motion broadcasting with the FF Weekend Warriors. We're at Sebring this weekend. It's going to be a blast. I saw a little bit of rain here in the practice session, but we'll get to that here in 1 second. My name is Adam Thompson. I'm joined in the booth by Randall McGrew.
With these three going right at it, we see you're getting really, really squirrely. There.
Oh, no!
Some contact. Oh, no. Jurg and Antonio, the two Masters leaders, both with issues and now dropping down the order.
There's a dicing through the curbs. Our lead 2. As that's Instaman just slossing it up the inside through McIntyre there. Beautifully done by the Icelandic driver as there's a big incident happened behind somewhere. Gonzaga losing a lot of places back.
Almost touching at that point. They're around there, heading into the closing stages of the track. Not quite there yet. Heading through what I'm calling the horseshoe, but let's not get into my drawing skills at this point. Nothing but clear track ahead of them at this point, so no one should be able to interfere in that battle. Side by side, nearly had contact there. That's going to put Kabanka on the inside for this next hairpin. This could be what decides it, and he's gone right on the outside, actually trying to cover off the car. I do wonder if Barry is going to be close enough to potentially slipstream. They've got 2 corners left to go. This penultimate one now. Barry right up close, 0.3 of a second. I'm not sure it's going to be close enough, 0.2 of a second. He's got to keep his foot on that loud pedal. Catches a little bit of a curve, but has Kabanka done it? Barry going to the inside, and Kabanka gets it.
The field in Castro's hands, and he's going immediately. Gets a good jump there over green, and is pulling away. He is gapping early. Even moving over to try to break up any sort of slipstream or help that inside line, making sure Green has his hands full coming into T1.
George Chance, did Jason give Antonio just a little bit of a slow up? It doesn't look like it. Antonio down to the inside. Hopefully going to be able to make this move. Oh, that was close.
Soto both coming very hot with a head of steam. Plava going up.
Oh, hello, and welcome into the... Oh, yep, I just heard Ron lead me in. I'm leading you in anyways, Ron. So hello, and welcome to the final race of today's 3-race banger we've had going on. We are at the SRFs, and we are at Thruxton, a new racetrack here for iRacing, and it seems extremely fast. Ron, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be Spec Racer Fords. We're going to have Jason Greene. We've even got Yangshi Lin in it with us today, so it's going to be a good one. Kane Lasky up there as well. Quite a few drivers going to be going for it here, but right now we're actually looking at Yangshi Lin, and sitting right now in second place in qualifying. Kane Lasky has him by 2 1/1000ths of a second.
That's the thing with these Spec Racer Fords, Adam. They always put on some close action regardless of what kind of racetrack we're running on, especially around a track like this that no one really knows their way around just about yet. Just added into iRacing a matter of days ago, but this track, old school, much like all the ones we've visited thus far. Cadwell Park kicking off today's racing action with the Formula Vs. Brands Hatch a couple of moments ago with the Formula Fords, which really felt like we were running on the rallycross version of it instead of anything else. But this new track added into the iRacing platform, 12 corners, 2.36 miles, and a wonderful ride heading off through turn number 1 a couple of moments ago. Now on the brakes, heading into turn number 2 of Campbell. Gotta say, nice UK racetrack. We got corner names. I love me some corner names. That's turn number 3 of Cobb. This is turn number 4 of Seagrave. Always good to have some nice corner names. I've said that twice now in the span of the past like 10 seconds.
You're doing great, Ron.
I will try not to mention it again. Heading off through turn number 5. Have I mentioned that I like corner names? Alrighty, I'm going to stop now. Goodwood, now this turn number 6. One of the fastest sections of racetrack, and not just this circuit, but the UK as a whole. Small little lift heading through there. You can see Yanchi hitting that curb on the inside line. Now through Village of turn number 7. Still hauling the mail. About to head through turn number 8 right now to this church. And talk about licking the stamp and setting it. That is blind. I haven't driven around this racetrack. I bought it a matter of 15 minutes ago, but I've seen some races around this track. We have been flat out since the exit of turn number 4, and we're still flat out through Woodlands of 9 right now. Now into turn number 10, the fast chicane. Fast chicane, it's a fast entry through a slow section of track.
Holy
That's
cow.
turn 10, 11, and 12. Yanshi eating those curbs like they're cereal for breakfast through that corner, and that completes a hectic lap around Thruxton as he improves on his time to go to a 1 minute 20.0.
Here's what I've learned, Ron, because I'm learning this track along with most of the drivers out here. You don't lift from turn 4 to turn 9. Jason Greene now across the line. He sets a purple sector. He sends it. What's it going to be? 120.628, still sitting in third place. But this is going to be a fast and furious race. We've got, I believe, 35, maybe 40 minutes of this. This is going to be an absolute blast, Ron. I'm so excited.
We got 30 minutes to be a bit more precise, but still 30 minutes, a half hour of racing action. Very similar to the Ray Esports Club Racing League and the Group 3 action that we saw this past week, which you can catch every single Wednesday exclusively here on Slow Motion Broadcasting with these drivers tackling this racetrack. That's Daniel Tufts, another Brit in the number 29 car, heading his way off through the final chicane right now. Let's see if it's an improvement from him. Yes, it is. To go to 10th from 15th, jumps to 1 minute 22.3. This, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, Adam, is the shortest racetrack we visited. I'd say that it may be the longest in terms of distance, but considering that these drivers are spending about 99.999% of the lap flat out, probably the fastest and probably the shortest lap times we've seen thus far today.
I'm going to make a joke here at the expense of getting absolutely executed by everybody in the chat. You just sounded quite German right there, Ron. But anyways, moving on to the actual race. We've got Kane Lasky now sitting about 0.3 of a second behind Yanchi Lin. And our producer here said to look at the gap between Tufts and Vivini right before Tufts set that lap. But it is still quite close, actually. They're about 0.9 of a second off of each other. So, yeah, this is going to be action-packed. And this is something that we don't see often, ever, Ron, when it comes to SRFs. It's a solo qual. When it comes to actual race time, all these drivers starting nose to tail, I expect fireworks, and I expect, even though this is supposed to be a for fun race, a lot of these drivers might not be having fun at the end of this one.
Even though we're going to be running in the daytime, still going to see those fireworks. Oh, and that's Tuss hitting the barrels on the end of pit lane. That may be one of a couple of times that we see that. Of course,
Yes.
the drive-through penalties that these drivers will have to serve. Daytime fireworks, though, isn't that a bit that David Letterman did for like 30 years or something like that? Just nothing in the sky and going, ooh, ah. That is possibly the strangest reference that I've ever made in my entire time.
It has to be. Man, you are way younger than I am, and I have no idea what the hell you're trying to say right now, Ron. But going back to the actual race here, that's something that you mentioned that I want to hit on. Again, these drivers, because it's a shorter type of race, these drivers are not going to have to pit for fuel. But every driver has to come down through the pit lane, and we just saw Daniel Tufts trying to practice it. I think he got it right now because he knows exactly how difficult it is to get into pit lane here. It is right on the exit of the final corner. You've got to get turned right as quick as possible and slowed down because that pit entry cone is sat right there.
Okay, in my defense, in terms of bringing up that reference about David Letterman, that is something that my dad told me many, many moons ago, back when I was like 8 years old. Had no idea who David Letterman was. Probably thought that he was a politician at that point in time. But that's where I got that reference from, and has stuck with me ever since. Also, saying that I sounded German there. Where do you think the last name Maunz comes from?
Oh, yeah, so Germany, it just came natural for you. It came natural.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it came from my heritage. My German ancestors going to be rolling in their graves. Yanxi Lin going to be starting from the pole position. Kane Lasky going to join him on the front row. Jason Greene and Dan Sadro starting in P3 and P4. Antonio Reis, a Portuguese man, in the 914 going to be starting the top of the Masters in 5th. Daniel Wood going to be starting alongside in 6th. Brad Cathcart in 7th. Jörg Mani in 8th. Matt Thompson in 9th. Artur Loirero, again with a terrible pronunciation there.
Yeah, that was better.
There we go. He's going to be starting in 10th.
Adam Bradshaw sitting in 11th place with Daniel Tufts rounding out your top 12. Then moving on to 13th place whenever Zippy can get his finger on that. Oh, it died. Okay, yeah. So in 13th place, we've got Joseph Tarantino, Andrew Love starting in 14th, Andrea Favini in 15th, Phil Berry in 16th with Jesus Rodriguez in 17th position, Seth Spolman starting in 18th, Edgar Frito Sancinelli starting in 19th with Russell Telker rounding out your top 20. And do you have the rest of them, or do you want me to go through them?
It died.
Stevie Ray starting in 21st with Mikey Roy starting in 22nd, Jeff Jacobson in 23rd, Paul Jackson in 24th, Scott Russell, Trenton Kramer, Jason Greider have yet to take to the grid, and they might not take to the grid to round out your 27-car field. So it looks like we're going to have 24 cars here, Ron, for an absolute action-packed 30 minutes, no pit stop sprint in the SRFs.
And I gotta say as well, very rare that I'll toot my own horn, but absolute professionalism to be able to round at the top 10, go use the restroom, and be able to come back in time before we got to the end of the starting grid. So well done to me, I guess, taking a view of this racetrack. You know, I said that we were going to be running under daytime. We're just barely in day. The sun is coming down around this version of Thruxton. Just add into iRacing literal days ago, but still, this is going to be a really fun race. Running around a track which is, it is the quintessential old school British track. Looking at this camera shot right now, you can see the, I believe there's still in use runways on the infield of this racetrack. This track, it's just, it is British racing and British racing roots boiled down into a wild ride in the world of motorsports.
Well, the thing is, those Brits can thank us that those runways are still around. Yes, I'm talking up America right now. But anyways, Mikey Roy sitting in second place, actually. Where has Mikey Roy come from? Wasn't even paying attention to that. That is unbelievable. Looks like we've got a bit of a timing issue as well. It sounds like things are broken over here in the overlay. So if you guys please stand by with us. Ron and I, we know, and you guys know that we like to talk, Ron, but I do have to go back quickly to your daytime, nighttime reference. I made this joke while I was sitting in the chat in the Formula V guys, and nobody really got it. Ron, have you ever seen that video where he goes, nighttime, daytime? Oh my goodness, you haven't seen it either, Ron. I'll have to send it to you after this race. But right now we are looking at the top two. That is Yanchi Lin going to be starting us off here. I have no idea who that guy is. In the second place, Kane Lasky. He has got a different paint job for us now. And it's going to be a great, great race. Jeff Jacobson is definitely not in first place in the S1. I can see Jason Greene in the 160 car back there in third place. This is going to be an all-out sprint. Now the question is, Ron, how long do these drivers just stay calm? Or is it just going to be a battle for 30 minutes?
I think, honestly, in the 30 minutes of racing that we have coming up already, we don't have a whole lot of time before you grab the green, so I'm going to have to pull out the calculator here real quick. So, 30 minutes of racing that we have coming up. Oh, boy, my phone is so slow. 30 minutes of racing action, 60 seconds a minute, so that's 1,800 minutes that we have coming up here in this race. I think out of those, there's probably going to be about 10 seconds in which these drivers are going to be calm. And
absolutely.
that is that all. I gotta say,
hey, we got it back. We're good. That was great timing by Zippy, and we're green. Oh my goodness, Zippy is such a good producer. We are green. Yanchi Lin takes the green flag. Kane Lasky in second. Jason Greene gonna stick behind Yanchi here. Looks like Jason may have even thought about a move going into turn one. He might still be thinking about it. Yanchi Lin has covered off that inside line, which is quickly gonna become the outside. Kane Lasky is gonna take second. Jason Greene gets in line. Looks like Antonio Reese sitting back there in 5th place as well. Leader of the Masters, Dan Wood in 6th. It looks like, I think, everything has gone okay so far. I'm knocking on wood. I'm trying not to commentators curse anybody here, Ron.
Oh, yeah, that is the worst thing that you can ever do. Commentators jinxing someone. Believe me, I've been there and done that about 7,000 times. But looking at this pack, they're heading through the long flat ab blast throughout a vast majority of this lap. Heading through right now, that I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, they're coming out of turn number 6 of Goodwood through Village of 7 right now. So hard to try and keep tabs around this racetrack. It's just grass. There's just about no landmarks around this place. Let's do a wild ride in the world of racing.
Jason
Greene taking the rally line. Lots of drivers a little bit farther behind. Joining him, that I believe may have been the pack of Reese and Wood taking to the grass coming out of the corner. But you can see this field coming around to complete the first lap in a couple of moments' time. Banging through the gears, heading down now into the club chicane. Side-by-side racing here involving Tufts and Monty. Monty getting shuffled back as Cash Card, and Tufts gets some moves done on him. Tufts taking the rally line now, heading off through the chicane. Looking at that, trying to block off the run from Matt Thompson, who's the current leader in Spec 2. Thompson got to blow his doors off to slip his way up into 9th.
Yes, he will blow his doors off, but the question is Tufts going to take the line again? It looks like he's going to try to get back by Thompson. Looks like Tufts had to have already served that slowdown for cutting that chicane. Oh, Tufts locks up, though. This is not looking good for Tufts. This is unbelievable, and this is exactly what I expected from this brand new track. Nobody's got any practice. I'm here for it, Ron.
The past lap, I can't even say the past full lap, in the past 3/4 of a lap, Daniel Tufts' race has just about fallen apart. You could call his race thus far the filled-in snake pit. The zoo, he hasn't had a pit to hiss in at all, but he's trying to get some moves done. Maybe going to be side-by-side with Phil Berry heading off through turn number 6 right now. Is he going to get the move done? Looks like he has done to slip his way back up into 11th. Tufts back on the recovery.
Yeah, absolutely, and Tufts is going to have to keep going on the recovery because he's got Philip Berry breathing down his neck now. But up at the top, remember what I talked about draft? Yanchi Lin is already 1.3 seconds ahead, Ron. How does that happen around a track where you are full throttle from turn 4 through turn 9?
Usually I have to come up with some sort of hyperbole. That is a damn miracle from Yanchi Lin, because to pull a gap like that and say, oh, he was briefly leading by a lap there. So well done to Yanchi Lin, kicking on the hyper jets. The Spec Racer Ford, or the SRF, they forgot the 18 at the end of it. SRF 18.
Yes.
That was terrible.
That was Ron, come on, mate. I know you're better than that. But we're looking here at a replay right now. We got Adam Bradshaw. It looks like an absolute fight here between Adam Bradshaw. Does he just send it wide? Does he get run over? What happens here? Just a good overtake. A bit of a cut of the track there, and there he goes. Those curbs absolutely caught him out there.
He backed it into the barrier as well. Bradshaw with an unfortunate mistake a couple of moments ago. He may not have been alone.
This. Nobody wants to see Frito spin. Edgar Santinelli is the best person we've ever. Thank you so much. Now we're up here to Brad Cathcart, and we're back live. Jesus Rodriguez in 11th.
I feel like my neck is hurting from the whiplash I've experienced throughout this broadcast already, but these drivers still racing all throughout this field. Following Jesus Rodriguez, he was the Season 3 champion in the Spec 1 class in the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Didn't have a good season for Season 4, but looking to maybe hit the ground running for an odd season, Season 1 of 2025. That was 3 wide. Look at that. That was insanity. Kane Lasky's run into some difficulties as Tufts and Loirero now side by side, nearly 3 wide again with Rodriguez heading off through club. That, I mean, around a racetrack like this, quite narrow, so 3 wide around any part of it, that, you don't want any parts of that. That's terrifying.
No, it is absolutely terrifying. Yanqi Lin now up by 1.8 seconds. He said, what draft? Who cares about the draft? Yanqi Lin absolutely driving away from one of the fastest people I've ever raced against, Jason Greene. Unbelievable what's happening up at the front, but Arthur Loureiro is going for it. He's going for 2 positions.
There we go, trying to make hay while the sun is shining, and he gets a move done to slip his way up into 12th. As Phil Berry may try and size up a move on Loureiro, you can see him now side by side, the Cookie Monster helmet in the 888 car side by side, heading through a couple of moments ago. That was Noble. Now through Goodwood of turn number 6. Let's see, will Phil Berry be able to get a move done heading off into club? That's the thing with this section of racetrack. Spending about half the lap flat out, insanity around this racetrack. These drivers have a whole lot on their plate, dealing with a lot of challenges, dealing with their competitors as well. Lasky certainly had a lot on his plate, but he's still in the pits, so not sure what happened to Kane Lasky, a very fast racer in the Weekend Warriors world.
Look out,
but
though.
Clearly not fast.
Here we go
Looking
again,
now.
Ron.
Puffs going side by side with Love. Andrew Love going to get that move done to break his way up into the top 10. It's Tough sideways, slideways, heading through club. He's now going to drop down to 12th. Phil Berry going to get a move done on him to shuffle Tufts back down to 13th. Lucky number P13 for a driver who's had no luck at all.
Well, I'm glad we aren't doing this broadcast on Friday, because in case you guys didn't know, it was Friday the 13th, but poor Tufts does not need Friday the 13th luck. He's already having bad enough luck, and you can just tell that the draft is catching a lot of these drivers out as Philip Berry and Daniel Tufts are side by side. Daniel Tufts gets that move done, but it's one of those things that you have to think about here is the draft in these cars. When you have to actually hit the brakes, when you're stuck in the draft, you got to hit the brakes a lot earlier than you think.
I'm going to briefly steal a comment from a gentleman that I did some of my first ever iRacing broadcast with. Adam, I think your balls may have just dropped there a couple of moments ago. Your voice shot up about 17 octaves. Oh, boy.
Oh, yes, Ron.
Oh, no. I will retract that comment because as much as I like being funny on the air, I also like job security. Daniel Wood running in 4th. We're following him right down the 28 car, running effectively in no man's land outside of himself and Reese. Reese may be able to get a move done in the not-too-distant future. It's 4 Spec 1 drivers at the north end of the field, followed by 3 Masters drivers. Antonio Reese, the Pied Piper of the Masters racers right now, running in 5th position as it stands at the moment. However, I think he's sizing up 4th. Maybe gonna get a move done on Wood, heading off into turn number 2 right about now. On the brakes, trying to go for the move. Wood a little bit wide coming out of the corner, though. That may sacrifice his run through 3 and 4 right about now. So will Antonio Reese be able to get a move done through that section? No, he will not. However, I think he's going to have a whole lot of steam coming out of this section before they head off into the club chicane in what feels like 5,000 hours time.
I mean, so the thing is here, Ron, there's something that Antonio Reese needs to start thinking about with Dan Wood, and that is how much draft do you need to do? You can bump draft in these if you're careful. And what's happening right now is Cedro and Green are absolutely blitzing Wood and Reese. Jörg Monty's back there about 4 seconds, so he's out of the draft as well. This is turning into a race that I did not think was going to happen. I don't want to say it. It might be starting to get a bit boring here.
Oh no! Oh, that's a little bit
there
mean
we
to
go.
say. There's the action. Here we go. This is a side-by-side fight involving Brad Cathcart in the 905, finding himself in the midst of a hornet's nest with himself, Loureiro, and Rodriguez. Rodriguez running deep into the braking zone of the club chicane. That's going to be the opportunity that Loureiro needs. Going side-by-side now onto that start-finish, not so straight away. Will Rodriguez get that move done to slip his way up into 9th, or will Loureiro get that move done to remain in 9th? Looking now side-by-side side, coming at turn 1 through the long meandering corner, which isn't even marked as a corner. Now into the braking zone of turn number 2. Rodriguez gets that move done to slip his way up into 9th. And Adam, you mentioned the word boring. I was going to say, if this race is boring, as Tuff's maybe got moved on Brad Cathcart now. Looking at this, Tuff's wheeling in the number 29 car back to pit lane there. Hello, Barry. Now back to racing action. Tuff's side by side with Brad Cathcart. Now heading their way off through Noble of turn number 5. Will Tuff's be able to get the job done on Cathcart now? Heading off into Goodwood. Cathcart still wheeling it on the inside line, keeping Tuff's Haas out. A little bit of contact made there as well. They are still side by side coming out of the corner. Now, are they going to finally single file out? Is Brad Cathcart going to lift and get out of it, or is Daniel Tuff's going to be able to finally clear him? I think they may have finally just cleared themselves through Church, but Cathcart going to have just enough time to get back into the draft of Tuff's and go for a move, heading off into club corner right about now. Side by side, entering the braking zone. Will Tuff's be able to hold on to that spot, or is Cathcart going to fight back? Cathcart going to back out of it.
I can't help but think how good this racing would be if the Formula Vs were here. My goodness, the amount of draft that would have happened here. But anyways, we are going back to Andrew Love and Jörg Monty. Andrew Love, again, and Jörg Monty, they've got to work together. There is absolutely no way to catch those guys up front right now. There's nothing. I'm sorry. We are looking at Andrew Love and Matt Thompson. Yep, yeah, the talented Thompson, because clearly I'm not very talented up here right now. But one thing that I do want to talk about real quickly, Zippy, if you can run back to Phil Berry here. Phil Berry, Ron mentioned something already. He's already pitted, and this is a very fast track. Phil Berry has already done his drive-through that everybody's going to have to do at the end of this race. So what is that going to do to Phil Berry when everybody has to go into the pits? Phil Berry might have a chance here at a podium, at least.
You know, at this point in time, the...
Okay.
Quick lesson, everybody. Quick lesson to broadcasters out there. Swallow before you speak. Getting back to the racing, though, Phil Berry, I think he finds himself in a really good position, as does Yanchi Lin, who just set the fast lap. The race now leading by about 3.2 seconds over Jason Greene, as we're back to the Hornet Cess involving Jesus Rodriguez going side by side. Tuff's, he's on the recovery drive. I feel like every single time we say that, though, he finds himself getting struck by a falling anvil at some point. And
oh, yep, there it is. Take a drink. Everybody take a drink. He said it.
Yee, howdy, everybody. Take a drink. I said the falling anvil quote. Ha ha. Anyways, Daniel Tuff's now bringing his way back into the top 10 in the number 29 car. Oh, boy, this thing is falling off the rails. But he may get a move done in the not-too-distant future on Loirero. But after that, it's going to be a hard road forward, because that's about a second and a half. Actually, I say it's more about a second between Loirero and Matt Thompson. So I'm curious if Tuff, so once he gets that move done on Loirero, if he gets that move done on Loirero, will that be the last he can actually pull off between now and the checkered flag?
Yeah, see, that's my worry about this track. It is super drafty, and all of these drivers have definitely fallen away from each other. It's a 2x2x2 pack, and it looks like Daniel Wood, speaking of somebody who is not waiting around, Daniel thought about it. He might actually be pushing Antonio Reese. He has got the message now. This is the absolute only way to get back up to Dan Sadro and Jason Greene, and I still don't know if that's going to be enough. We will have to see. Yeah, but why don't we talk about real quick with the Christmas liveries. I've only seen one so far, and I think it's Antonio Reese again.
Ooh, there we go. I think there's another one. This is Dan Wood, the Christmas livery. Pretty simple, though, but pretty elegant. It's a Christmas package, so to speak, a Christmas gift. There we go. Correct technical terms. Always got to pull those out somewhere on these broadcasts, but there he is. Still running strong in this race. A very simple livery, to be sure. There's Jörg Monty in a very striking car, very similar to the one that he drove in the Formula Vs, which I believe was the same that he drove in the Formula Fords, which looks the same here in the Spec Racer Ford. It's a good-looking livery, but, I mean, it is technically the Christmas special, so I think we need to be a bit more Christmassy in terms of the awards that we give out. I gotta say, though, that is a nice-looking race car. You can see some rust on the back of it, though. Reminds me of riding on a public bus in the city of Philadelphia.
I don't know how to follow that one up. That was pretty good. And if Michelle Lind is listening in the chat, I'm pretty sure she would have cackled at that one as well. Looking here through all of the drivers, trying to find. Oh, hey, was that the Cookie Monster? Why don't we go back forward real quick? Philip Berry's got the Cookie Monster Motorsport livery. That's looking pretty good there on the back. But yeah, keep on moving through here. See if we can see anybody. Oh, there's one. Tarantino's got a good one, actually. If we can get a better, some good looks around the whole car here to see exactly how Tarantino has set this livery up. That's not a bad one. So right now, Antonio Reese and Joseph Tarantino both have Christmas liveries. And again, we've got to vote on these. We got to get some people in the chat, which I'm trying to pull up right now to see as there's a wreck right in front of Tarantino. That was Lorero and Rodriguez, I believe, that went around. No, it was Yergmani.
I think the other driver involved in that, I'm trying to see exactly who that was a couple of moments ago. I think Brad Cathcart may have gotten a piece of that action as well. I think he did. I saw that car stop by the barrier. Let's take a look at this now. Take a look at another angle of this incident that happened a couple of moments ago with Cathcart.
Oh, no.
Here you can see Barry gets sideways, slideways, and Cathcart nowhere to go. Those two cars auger into that outside barrier. No room to go for Cathcart. Barry getting struck. Not by a falling anvil. He got struck by a falling tree branch. There you go. Need to bring in some more terminology. But getting back to this with Tarantino, gotta say, very well composed drive from Tarantino. Usually, I see this occasionally. He's got the New Jersey Parkway logos on that car, which, as someone who has been on the New Jersey Parkway as a kid going down to the shore, I can assure you that the New Jersey Parkway is where 99% of the world's global supply of road rage can source itself from. So very, very solid drive from him, just keeping calm, running in 12th, but that's a very good-looking race car. Now, what is this with Seth Spolman? What am I looking at? It looks like I was going to say, it looks like the...
Seth Spolman wins. 100%. It doesn't matter anymore. Seth Spolman wins the Christmas livery. I don't care what anybody says. Stevie, you heard it here first. Seth Spolman takes the Christmas livery here in the SRFs.
Oh, and that was a very nice-looking livery from Russ Telker. So good, in fact, that our camera nearly died. Here's Stevie, though. His liveries have been clean thus far, and that's another case of it. I like it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Stevie, I'm sorry, but the fact that Seth Spolman put a Die Hard livery when there is an absolute outrage on people saying and upset that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, that's gingerbread. That is that's a very, very clean livery. But are we looking for clean liveries here, or are we looking for funny liveries? And the fact that Seth Spolman has a Die Hard livery, I can't get over it. I can't get over it.
I was gonna say when we switched that Die Hard car, I was going to say that looked like a movie poster from the turn of the 21st century. So I think that comment may fall by the wayside, but nevertheless, some nice looking cars though, it must be said. I think my vote, just based off the fact I said the line in reference to driving around the New Jersey Parkway being the source of the world's most amount of road rage. Actually, I'm going to have to fact check this, Adam, real quick. I'm going to pull a fact out real quick. So I'll pass it back off to you as I fact check myself before I say this, but it's an odd one.
Not a problem, and Ron, all you say are odd ones, so I don't think it's going to surprise any of us. Antonio Rizzo does have a bit of damage to the front right quarter panel of that car. Don't know exactly where that came from, but the fact that he is still sitting in the draft is not going to hurt him that much. Now, looking up through the chats real quick, we do have quite a few, as sounds like somebody's cackling in the background, but looking here at Silly Old Bear said, who won? I believe he asked who won in the FV and the FFs. We don't know quite yet, but it sounds like Antonio Reese may have taken the Formula Fords, and there is another driver in the FFs that may have taken the Formula Vs. Zippy, if you want to unmute your mic and let us know, maybe.
Okay.
Obviously, this is not confirmed yet.
Okay, so in the Formula Vs, Hank Melee had the most votes between the commentaries team and between the chat. In the Formula Fords, Antonio Reese was leading that. Right now, as we have a look here, we've got a vote from yourself and from Josh Wilkie for the Die Hard livery of Seth Spolman. We have a vote from me for Mikey Roy. I think, honestly, he's made 3 paints that are all pretty tasteful. And I like the fact they're clean and Christmassy. We do have a little bit of up and down. We don't know if Mikey's got a second vote, but we got 2 votes for the. We got yourself, Sorry, we've got yourself and Wilkie, and maybe Tamara as well. Tamara's kind of on the fence about this one. As I go and find it, there we go. Seth Spallman, he's got a couple of votes. So.
Oh my God! Come on, Seth. Come on, guys. Come on.
I get it. It's Die Hard, and it's not just a Christmas movie, but that's the whole point of why it's not just a Christmas paint. And I really liked how clean Mikey Roy's was, but.
Yep. No, that's true.
It's not just up to me. I'm also, the guy made free paint, so I feel, he's worked hard for that.
He absolutely
There we
has.
go. I got another vote for tomorrow. So right now, Seth Spoolen and Mikey Roy are tied 2-2. And Bobby West, he's just voted for Gingerbread as well, which is Mikey Roy.
So that's 3.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I appreciate you supporting me, support Mikey. Ron, which one were you voting? So I think you were Die Hard.
So this is going to be an odd pick. Yeah,
Oh, no.
This is an odd pick for me. I'm not going to go with the Die Hard livery. Sorry to upset you there, Adam. But I have a very odd reason why I'm going to go with Joseph Tarantino's livery. So I mentioned the fact that he has the logo of the Garden State Parkway, and I want to check to make sure this was real, and it is. There is a service area on the Garden State Parkway that is the John Bon Jovi service area. I am not kidding, folks. This is an actual place that exists in New Jersey. New Jersey, the site of many weird things. That's why I don't dare go over the bridge. But Tarantino, the only person in this entire field, this entire race meeting here for the 43rd V runoffs here in the Weekend Warriors world that has ever had a logo that can trace its roots back to John Bon Jovi. So, I don't know about you, because of that very odd description, I may need to rinse my ears out with bleach after hearing that.
I'm going to have to take a break to go get some Q-tips real quick.
So mean. I have the voice of an angel that's been brutally beaten with a stick.
Yeah, but so what it sounds like right now, we've got 3 for Seth, 3 for Mikey, and 1 for Joseph Tarantino. So guys, give Joseph Tarantino some love if you are from the East Coast. I don't know why anybody would want to be from the East Coast or still live there. Sorry. I'm so sorry, Ron. But with that being said, Joseph Tarantino's got a good livery. It's been a little bit crushed up now, but something we need to talk about now, back to the race real quick before we start talking about liveries anymore, is Yanqi Lin. That gap is steadied around 3 seconds. Jason Greene is out by himself right now as well. And I'm trying to look here to see who has actually taken a pit stop so far. And right now, it looks like Yanqi, Jason, Dan, and Daniel Wood. So Dan Sadro and Daniel Wood. All the top 4 have already taken their stop. So this is an absolute battle right now. If Jason can get up to Yanqi Lin, he's going to have to do it on sheer pace alone. But there is a battle here, and that's Antonio Reese battling with Jurg Money. Of course it is. The two friends, and they are absolutely going at it. Absolutely no holds barred. They don't care where they finish. Go for it, boys.
Yeah, they're starting to battle really, really hard all throughout this field. They're seeing that checkered flag come up in the not-too-distant future. You know, we got a tick over 8 minutes left to go.
Now, Ron.
I mean, trust me, you should have heard how I used to wrap up my shows. They used to sound about as clunky as those SEPTA buses here in the city of Philadelphia that I mentioned not terribly long ago. Or actually, no, it sounds like a Spec Racer Ford that permits about 17 gear shifts. The gears have been just reduced down to a veneer inside the transmission. But yeah, 15 neutrals. I'll tell you what. Here's a nice little story about this. So my father's car, which is a 2006 Jeep Liberty, I believe has the worst transmission this side of the equator. That thing towing a trailer on the back of it, driving through the winding hills of Iowa, coming back from the SCCA Solo Nationals down in Lincoln, Nebraska. I have gotten more like technical sympathy with rocks than I did with that transmission driving the thing. It would shift up too early, then I would have to gun it so it could shift down, and then it just wouldn't. It would just go back and forth. It would bounce from gear to gear like a car fanatic mosquito with short-term memory loss. I don't know any other way that I could describe it. So hopefully these drivers don't dealing with that same amount of pain as what kind of line was that from Monty, nearly running into the back of Andrew Love with some damage on the front of that race car as well.
Well, yeah, there was a bit of damage. Real quickly here, Ron, I want to go back to a couple things. First of all, this is a for fun race. This is week 13. Everyone's having a good time. So I'm going to say this in the hopes that Jason Greene does not get upset. So Ron, throughout this season, as Andrew Love almost misses the pit entry, but he makes it happen. And who is that right behind him that's Matt Thompson. Matt, that looks extremely similar to a livery I may or may not have done for somebody in the slow motion broadcasting family. But anyways.
Jokey.
Yes, moving on real quickly. So Jason Greene and I have come up with this thing. We've turned your commentary into a drinking game, Ron. Okay?
Oh, no.
Anytime that you say falling anvil or not too distant future, I have to take a drink. At this point, I've gone through 2 beverages that are only allowed for people 21 and over during this broadcast, Ron. So you've got to come up with some new material. I'm just kidding. You do great things. So happy to be around you. So happy to commentate with you. But moving on, when we have to talk about bad transmissions, right now, my 2018 Chevy Colorado has 78,000 miles on it, and I am struggling with the front and rear differentials and the transmission fluid because they have notoriously bad transmissions. So I don't want to hear what you have to say about how bad your transmission was, Ron. But anyways, moving back on to the racing, Andrea Favini is absolutely trying to get around Jesus Rodriguez, but Jesus Rodriguez is putting up a massive battle.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, Adam. I'm not sure if it's entirely ethical to base a drinking game. Oh, there we go. Beautiful with the other rim shot there. Not sure if it's entirely ethical to make a drinking game out of someone who's not allowed to drink at the moment. I still gotta wait about a year and a week for that. But Andre Favini trying to get a move done on Jesus Rodriguez to jump his way up into the top 10. Unsuccessful in that challenge yet. I will say, though, we've got someone back with, he's still going to be going for it, heading around the outside through turn number 1 right now. You can see Favini closing that window. He wants to shut that door. He wants no parts of some side-by-side battling. I think it is done, yeah. Heading off through turn number 2, Favini getting up to 10th.
So here we go. We've got Favini in 10th place with Jesus Rodriguez in 11th, but there's someone we haven't covered this whole race, and we need to do it. Yanxi Lin turning into Max Verstappen up there, about 5 seconds ahead of anybody else on the road. Max Verstappen, Yanxi Lin absolutely driving away from the rest of the field with Jason Greene sitting there in 2nd place. Ran a 120.8 with Dan Sajo running a 121.3. So really Jason Greene, Dan Sajo, these top 3 are already locked in, but we need to talk about Antonio Reese and Jorg Monty. This is going to be the battle coming down to the final as we're watching Loureiro and Love go at it right now. But Loureiro and Thompson go at it, but this is going to be the battle between Antonio Reese and Jorg Monty for the Masters win. I'm getting all messed up. Andrew Love and Loureiro are getting... What just happened?
Dear Lord, I nearly just blew my microphone up. Antonio Reese, though, coming in like a bat out of hell. I think he just popped Andrew Love into like the 4th dimension there. Not sure what in the world happened a couple of moments ago. Either way, though, Antonio Reese picking up a lot of damage on the front end of that Spec Racer Ford, adding in the optional air conditioning package to be sure. Not going to help him out in the flat-out blast, though. But speaking of helping some racers out, this is Spolman getting a move done on Telker side by side now, heading through the braking zone into the club chicane. Spolman going to get that move done in the number 40 car to slip his way up into 17th. But what in the world happened a couple of moments ago with Reese? That was rather odd, and I think, not sure who that was. I saw a green car in the back, a shot. Not sure if it was Jason Greene or what. Saw him disappear. It just got sucked up into the mothership. So, I don't know. We've mentioned New Jersey a lot. Maybe those drones are actually like alien life craft or whatever the hell you'd call it. Maybe they're sucking up some of these racers, possibly. I know they have made their way over to the UK from what I've heard on the news. So, maybe correlation does not equal causation there. I'm not too sure.
I don't know. Zippy getting a little bit wild in the chat right now on YouTube, so I'm going to go ahead and stay away from that one and continue to talk about Barry and Spolman here in an absolute battle right now. Edgar Sancinelli back there as well in the Frito Sport racing car. Just because the battles have kind of evened themselves out after what happened on the last lap between Reese, Monty, Love, and Loureiro, but there is still a battle, and it looks like Reese, there is a bit of contact, actually. And who has that beautiful Russ Telker? My man, you got my vote for the Christmas paint. Just kidding, but he has got a beautiful slow motion broadcasting logo on the side of that car.
Yeah, that logo looking fresh as always. Beautiful. Gotta give a chef's kiss to Russ Telker and that SMB logo on the side. Looks a lot better than the logo of one of the other broadcasters that used to broadcast the Weekend Warriors. What was the name I came up with it earlier? Exit Curb. What was it? Exit Curb Strolling Radio Broadcasting. So
I like it. I like it.
There we go. That's about as old school as all the stuff going on over there. But this is an old school car ride, an old school track with some new school racing to be sure. These racers putting on a fantastic show for the final time here for the 43rd V runoffs in the Weekend Warriors world. And this battle with Rodriguez and Favini is still very much on. And I got to say, Stevie has been in the broadcast booth for a while. I apologize, Stevie, the fact we haven't brought you in yet. We'll bring you in a little bit once this battle with Favini and Rodriguez cools off a little bit. They're now side-by-side heading off into club. Favini on the inside. Rodriguez sweeping around the outside. Looks like he's going to put on the defensive line. Around the outside, heading into that corner. Seems to be the good spot. Coming to the white flag, I believe, as well. So, Stevie, I'll let you get a word in edgewise here really briefly and ask you about the racing that we've seen thus far here at Thruxton.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, like I said, this one is fast. You make a little mistake on the entry, and it's going to throw you wide and off track. So, good job for the guys. There was several. It's an unknown track, so nobody's got a whole lot of time on this one, and that makes it a little tricky on those fast corners that just spit you out.
It really does, and that's something that I was a bit worried about. As we can see the white flag waving here, Yanchi Lin going to take this unless he gets struck by, I'm not drinking myself here, Ron, but unless he gets struck by a falling anvil, which there are some falling anvils out there right now, as it looks like wood, that may be wood that goes sideways behind him. But yeah, that's, Yanchi did have a little bit of traffic to navigate there at the end, but Yanchi Lin, again, 5 seconds ahead, done everything he's got to do. And Stevie, the one thing I want to ask you about is, did you expect more close racing here, or did you kind of expect this?
Yeah, I thought it'd be a little bit more of a draft battle, some packs and stuff. Wasn't expecting it quite so spread out, but I think that plays into just being a new track and not a lot of experience with anybody on it.
So Stevie, I already have an idea. 14 weeks from now, why don't we send these SRFs and send them around Daytona? You want to talk about a draft battle? Why don't we do an oval in the SRFs? Just an idea, maybe nothing. Just thinking about it. But yes, Yanchi Lin coming home, swerving across the line there, takes absolutely the lead by a lot. Jason Greene slowing way down. What has happened here? Maybe he's trying to save some fuel. There might be some after-race antics like there always are in the Weekend Warriors. Dan Sajo looking like he's going to come home in P3 very, very easily. Daniel Wood, though, Jurg Mani and Antonio Reese all spread out pretty evenly by around 3 seconds. Andrew Love, though, we've got to go back to this. I was not paying attention to this. There's a battle for S2.
Oh, the fight is very much on between these two. Love trying to wheel it on the inside. Loureiro trying to wheel it on the outside. They're side by side heading through the midsection of the chicane. Love going to lose that. Loureiro going to win out in that fight to cross the start-finish line to win in Spec 2 and finish 7th overall in the 419 car. Well done. That was a brilliant fight coming to take the checkered flag. Look at some stopped cars here. That's Bradshaw stopped. Oh, are they going to find a jump here?
They're going to find something. We know. Why don't we just stay on Jason Greene? We don't have to move off Jason Greene because Jason Greene knows exactly what's going to happen here at the end of the race. 19 cars had finished the race, but it looks like everyone piling up behind Jason Greene, and here we go, Ron.
Oh, the pandemonium that you see week after week in the Weekend Warriors world. Jason Greene, usually the leader and the Pied Piper of this chaos. What do these drivers have up their sleeve? What sort of absolute chaos are we going to have? Okay, so they ran through...
Oh, no, everybody's missing everybody. Oh, God.
Okay, so this is like a game of Frogger, essentially, that Jason Greene is
playing.
playing.
There's cars flipping.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, we're already getting some aerial acrobatics. We saw that in the Formula Vs. Hint, Stevie. But we're seeing it again, possibly in the Spec Racer Fords. Andrew Love doing his best Dale Earnhardt impression, doing some donuts in the grass to celebrate the end of this season. Favini running through the old concrete on the inside of this racetrack. There's Russ Telker already damaged. Lots of race cars already looking scruffed up. And Greene coming in for the kill.
Absolutely, Jason Greene. I knew he wasn't going to sit out. He cannot drive. both front axles. I think that car is now sitting on the ground. But watching the replay here, Jason Greene coming from about 3 miles back and right up Antonio Reese's front. I can't say anything really bad here because this is for kids. But yes, Jason Greene absolutely did exactly what I expected Jason Greene to do there. Unbelievable end here, Stevie. And I want to bring you in before we bring the interviews in and we look at the race results. Stevie, I want to commend you and I want to thank you for being, first of all, such a great guy, a great friend, and a great admin of these 3 leagues. Stevie, I met you 7 months ago, and you came out and you hung out with my wife and me for 3 days. And we did a lot of very fun stuff, Stevie. So first of all, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me and my wife. Just being there as a friend, you've done absolutely great things, and I cannot thank you enough for that. But when it comes to the league, and I think I talk for everybody here, what you've done for the Weekend Warriors and for Slow Motion Broadcasting cannot be understated.
Well, thanks for the kind words, Adam. And I was almost feeling bad for you guys having to put up with me for 3 days, but you did, and we survived it. And may or may not have had a few adult beverages to help it survive. But, yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate you and your team and Slow Motion. And I keep saying it every time I do an interview after the season, and I couldn't mean it more. I mean, it's the guys on track, the members of the Weekend Warrior Leagues themselves that make it what it is. One guy can't give a league the reputation it has like this. So shout out to you and all the Weekend Warriors. I appreciate them. Said we've got another season to kick off and need some donations and that kind of stuff, but everybody always steps up and just blows me away sometimes. And really, really good group of people, and I'm just really proud to be a part of it.
Well, I'm glad you're a part of it, and I think Ron and Zippy can attest to the fact that Slow Motion Broadcasting would not be here right now without the Weekend Warriors. So thank you so much for everything you do. But Ron, I'm going to actually leave you until after we do interviews because I've got some things to say to you as well. But why don't we bring in some people who may or may not have won the race? I think everybody actually stopped this time. So, Ron, who you want to take?
I think we are getting instructions barked from Zippy that we should probably touch on the results here real quick. Yanxi Lin takes a checkered flag, 8.5 seconds in front of Jason Greene in P2. Dan Sadler going to round out your podium finishers, and we have Daniel Wood in 4th. Jorg Mani in 5th, Antonio Reese in P6th. Artur Loirero, see, eventually I did get right at the end of the broadcast. He finishes this race in 7th. Andrew Love going to finish in 8th. Matt Thompson in 9th. Jesus Rodriguez going to round out your top 10. Looking through the rest of the finishers as I crack my knuckles. Hopefully that didn't get picked up on the microphone. Andre Favini finishes in 11th. Joseph Tarantino, who gets my vote for the Christmas livery just because it has the Garden State Parkway logo. Stevie, I'm not sure if you heard this comment about the John Bon Jovi service area, so add that to the list of odd things I've said on the air for some of your series. Yeah, okay. Paul Jackson going to finish at lucky number P13. Phil Berry going to finish right behind in 14th. Seth Bowman in 15th. Edgar Sancinelli in 16th. Adam Bradshaw going to finish in 17th. Russell Telker finishes right behind Bradshaw in P18. And looking through the final few finishers that we have from the final race of the day, we've got Jeff Jacobson, Brad Cathcart, Mikey Roy finishing in 21st, Stevie ending up in 22nd, Daniel Tufts in 23rd, Kane Lasky in 24th, Scott Russell in 25th, Trent Kramer in 26th, Jason Grider finishing this race in 27th, and rounding out your results from the final race of the day. And now, Adam, with that taken care of, do you want to take the first interview, or you still want me to do it?
I do want to take the first interview, actually. And if we can get a replay on Jorg Mani, a guy who has not stopped making fun of my mustache for the last month. Right, at this point, Jorg, you win the Masters division here in the SRFs. Congratulations, my man. What did you think about the track?
You mean the last one? It's, I don't know. It's, I got arm itches now on the right side because of steering all the time to the right. So, it's not my track, but it was fun though. So, Yeah, but I love Brands Hatch, of course, and that's one of my favorite tracks, and I really love that one.
Well, I mean, you did good, even with that 4X that you got before the race even started in the Formula Vs. You did okay there, and I don't know who ran into the back of you, Jorg, but whoever did that, they're pretty dumb. Let's say that. But Jorg, thank you. Go ahead.
Don't take it so seriously. I didn't even know that it was you.
Okay, all right, whatever, Jorg. But anyways, thank you so much for doing all these races. And Jorg, I want to ask you, I want to be the first person to ask you, as we've talked about the changes coming up for next season in the Weekend Warriors, it sounds like you might be a Spec 1 driver all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's okay. Like I mentioned to Ian, I'm going to beat those guys this season. Next season, I would say. I hope, at least. I'm trying as hard as I can. But I told Stevie if he wants to put me in Spec 1, he should do it. That's all.
Well, you already beat him anyways, Jorg. I mean, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news here and say you deserve to be in Spec 1 anyways, Jorg. But anyways, congratulations on everything you've done this season. Anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, to everybody, to all the racers. They're all great of them, actually. It's a huge fun to drive with them. And they're hard drivers, always. And yeah, I really like all those guys, and to you, of course, with all those broadcastings. And I think it's end of the season now, and I can't talk anymore, so I needed a whiskey.
Oh, well, I've already been drinking quite a few of those for you, Jorg. So congratulations on your Masters win here. But I cannot wait to see what you do next season in Spec 1.
Yeah, me too. But thanks a lot.
That was Jorg Monty there, your Masters winner, and we do have quite a few drivers here. Which one do you want, Ron?
Well, for the simple sake that I know you want to have a chat with a man that had the Die-Hard livery, I'm going to drag in Mikey Roy to have a quick little chat with him. Had a pretty up-and-down day of racing action in the Formula Vs, Formula Fords, and Spec Racer Fords, but Mikey is now joining us in the commentary booth. Now, Mikey had some pretty striking liveries out there on the racetrack, and some pretty wild races to be sure. So I want to ask you about your thoughts on the day of racing that we just saw.
Dude, I'm a noob, and I'm okay at painting, and kind of new at this shit. I've only been racing since March of this year on iRacing, so.
I like you already, Mikey. I like you already.
He's underselling it a bit, to be honest. So this guy, Mikey Roy, he's in the Motor Racing Academy, and that's where I've ended up picking him up from. And this guy didn't just get into sim racing. He didn't hang around. He started with something, then upgraded it, and he's like got nicer gear than I have. And he's certainly, he's doing it the right way. He's got the nice gear, and he's getting the training to be better. So while today may not have been his best day, I think we can see bigger things from the 775 car of Mikey Roy.
I think we might be able to, but real quickly before Mikey, you answer what Zippy said. I want to tell you a story, and I think it's interesting, right? So I've obviously been part of SMB for about 6 years now, and I've got my own league that I run. So one night I'm sitting and I'm playing iRacing, and one of the people in my Cross Series League Racing League said, "Hey man, I need to talk to you," and I was like, okay, why do you need to talk to me? This driver is very, very good in the Miatas. So he was looking at paints in the Miatas, just kind of looking through them. And he saw a Miata paint that had an SMB logo on it. And it was in Trading Paints. And the author was Mikey Roy. So Mikey, I cannot thank you enough for everything you do for SMB, even if you don't think you're doing it. And I think that may have had a bit to do with Zippy. But yes, thank you so much for throwing our logos up on Trading Paints. It's the way to get our name out there. And Mikey, this is the first time I've talked to you, and like I said in the Formula V race, it's great to put a voice to the name that I see around in iRacing. So I guess for me, thank you so much for everything you do, and I think you could be echoing Zippy, you could be a pretty good driver here in the SRFs if you try to be.
Yeah, I'm. This is my first day actually driving the SRF, and like I said, I started in March of this year on iRacing, and I'm a Marine veteran. I served 5.5 years in the Marines, and I do iRacing for like my mental health and stuff. And It's funny because I joined the academy, the motor racing academy, back in like April or May, and then one day somebody was like, "Hey, does anybody know how to make paints?" And I was like fooling around with trading paints, trying to learn how to do it. And I'm like, I could throw a paint together. And all of a sudden, Sueli Almeida's like, "Hey, want to make paints for the academy?" And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "What?" So that's where it started. And if you look through my trading paints profile, you can see kind of like my history of like slowly evolving the paints. But
well, Mikey,
yeah.
if you don't mind dropping anybody, do you have like a iRacing painting, an iRacing paint thing that you do? Go ahead and drop your link right now. Go ahead and send it.
Where is my link? That's what I gotta find. Hold on.
Well, real quickly, while you're finding that, Mikey, I do want to let you know that you are outnumbered at this point, 2-1. Stevie Ray is an Air Force veteran, and I am currently serving in the Air Force. So clearly that tells you that the Air Force are better than the Marines.
It's all good. I grew up around Army and Air Force in Germany.
But anyways, yeah, well, Mikey,
Here, I'll
you
put
find...
it in the, where are we? SMB chat.
Yep, go ahead and throw it anywhere, and we will go ahead and say it out on stream. But you guys, we're right now looking at Mikey Roy's paint. Very, very clean. If you guys are looking for a paint job, I've seen some of the stuff that Mikey Roy does. Please reach out to him. I know that he will gladly make you a paint, and that definitely the cleanest paint on track. But I hate to tell you, Mikey, I didn't vote for you. But when it comes to the race today, Ron, we're going to go back to you, and you can ask him questions about the race.
I was actually just weighing up a quick run to the restroom, but I will do that, and I'll ask you one thing about this track. The newest one into iRacing, and this isn't really a technical question. I just want to ask you before we wrap things up here, Mikey. How do you like it?
I'm used to like using VRS to like watch a tutorial video like how to do the track or do a walkthrough, and I'm like, I was so lost. like everything seems wide open on this track, and coming up to corners, it's like I don't know. It's like besides my, what I'm learning with the Motor Racing Academy, I still don't know if I'm applying it right. So I feel like I was kind of all over the place today. And what is that towards the beginning? That braking zone where you got to go down to like third or second or something. I kept spinning out there like crazy. It was rough.
You wasn't the only one, Mikey.
Yeah, I saw Steve do it too. I didn't feel so bad when I saw him turned around. I'm like, okay, at least I'm not the only one that fucked up here.
Hey, yee howdy, alrighty. Well,
Pardon me, sorry, I know you're broadcasting.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Mikey, you have just become my favorite person ever, so it's fine.
Oh.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Some
This
fantastic
car,
moments coming after it.
The SRF, when I first looked at the SRF for a holiday paint, at first I thought it looked kind of like a sleigh, but then the more I liked the wood that I did on the tree for the Formula V, and so I did the wood and I tried to make it look like a soapbox derby car, and then the Santa and the gingerbread man came along to make it look festive.
It looks good.
Somebody called it a gingerbread amputee.
And real quick, before we get into this, Stevie, I want you to know that the broadcast has thrown out their votes, and the obviously we've thrown out our votes. And Stevie, you've got some work to do here for the SRF paint jobs. It is right now 3-3. Mikey Roy is tied with Seth Spolman on the best paint job for the SRF. So this is when we're going to have to hand it off to you and let you figure out who wins in the paint jobs for the Spec Racer Fords.
All right, I will have to put that on pause till afterwards. I apologize. I haven't seen this, so I can't make an honest evaluation, but maybe I'll just throw a coin up. There we go.
There it is. All right, Mikey. Anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go? Because this broadcast can go for 3 hours if I don't shut the hell up.
Thank you to the Motor Racing Academy for teaching me how to do road courses. 'Cause otherwise, months ago, I couldn't even do a lap around a course like this.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mikey, and enjoy your the rest of your weekend. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Yep, and thank you all for your service, all you service members who served.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to kick you out of here by saying the Air Force is better than the Marines, but goodbye, Mikey.
Later.
That was Mikey Roy, and now we've got Seth Spolman, and Seth Spolman is the guy I voted for with the paints. Seth Spolman, you're tied right now with Mikey Roy for the paint jobs. First thing I want to ask, it has nothing to do with the racing itself. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Oh, no. Oh, we don't have Seth Spolman. Oh, this isn't good.
Is he muted?
He's not muted. I just think he might be AFK.
Yeah, well, I think I'm just going to have to break the tie, and we'll go with Seth.
Oh, there it is. Oh, no, we can't do that. But anyway, Seth Spolman, we just kicked him out. Ron,
I tell you what, I got an idea.
Okay.
It's $15, right, for the best iRacing paint.
Yep.
Instead of breaking the tie, you get Seth's, I'll get Mikey's. How about that?
All right.
Yeah, let's do that. I feel the guy deserves something. He did 3 paints. You know, he showed up. I'll sort him out $15.
All right, there it is. So when it comes to the Christmas livery this afternoon, Seth Spolman and Mikey Roy are going to take the Spec Racer Fords. But Ron, before we get out of here, I do want to say something to you, man. We've said this for the past 6 months since we've known each other. You came in a bit before Zippy did to own the league. I did a couple broadcasts with you. Yeah, Ron, I'm proud of you, and I don't know if that means much coming from me. It shouldn't, because I really don't know you, but I want you to know there are a lot of people in the Weekend Warriors, including myself, and there are a lot of people in SMB rooting for you to do what you want to do, and it sounds like that's commentating. You're doing a great thing. Obviously, you're moving up, so just keep doing what you're doing, Ron, and thank you so much for being a part of SMB.
Well, I appreciate the kind words there, Adam. I gotta say, in terms of talking about the Weekend Warriors world and all that stuff, this past year, because I could really get it down all the way to March when I replaced one of our fellows here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, Mr. Tim Cox, who used to do the broadcast of the Weekend Warriors series. I replaced him at the start of March of this year, and I've pretty much stuck with the Weekend Warriors ever since, outside of a decent chunk of last season where the transition that a lot of you are probably aware of in the Weekend Warriors world. When that happened, though, got with the Weekend Warriors again. I've been doing the Formula Vs with Josh all throughout this season. I've done the Formula Fords with Zippy as well. Adam, I remember you were a part of the first broadcast of this past season. Also occasionally subbed in for Mr. Randall McGrew over on the Spec Racer Ford side of things. I gotta say, before we kind of wrap everything up, from my time working on the Formula Vs, my time working on the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords, and it even extends far beyond that, doing the stuff with the Ray Esports Racing League and now the Ray Esports Club Series, my time with the Ray Esports community now stretches back to about a year, even a little bit more than that. I think my 3rd or 4th broadcast period was a Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors race back in Season 2 of 2023. So the Weekend Warriors world and the Ray Esports community has just... It's meant a lot to me. I got into this broadcasting stuff with a couple of months left to go in high school. I didn't really know what I was going to do in my life. I know I just liked entertaining people and liked talking about race cars, and I thought at the time that I was okay at them. Turns out going a little bit farther down the line and having some interactions with some other commentators who were well above my league wasn't really the case, and part of me would kind of contend that still really isn't the case. But the Weekend Warriors world, all the drivers, you, Adam, Zippy, Stevie as well, you guys have been so supportive, so accepting of me. Seeing a lot of the messages sent in the YouTube chat yesterday during the Chili Bowl broadcast I did over on iRacing, just, it meant the world to me, because there was a period in time back in 2019 and 2020 as I was getting out of middle school into high school where I really had no idea what my life was going to turn into. I had finally realized at that point, after years of delusion, that I was never going to become a Formula One driver. Never in my million years was that going to happen, which I thought was always going to be the case. So then transitioning from that and being a delusional teenager up until this point, I'm 5 days away from turning 20. Earlier today, I sold my final ever card. I'm now officially out of racing as a driver, fully into this commentary stuff, and less than 24 hours removed from doing my first ever broadcast with iRacing. It's a very odd position I find myself in life at the moment, but I'm just tremendously grateful to be a part of this, tremendously grateful to be a part of the Weekend Warriors and the Ray Esports community, and it will never wear away at me. as some people like to say, I remember you saying this not terribly long ago. If I happen to go on and do this commentary stuff professionally, or even if I don't come 30 years from now where I'm knocking on the door of 50, I will always remember this period of my life because it means the world to me. And as a guy who has the self-esteem of a blind marmoset, I can assure you that all those kind messages and everything and the kind words always mean a lot to me. So for you guys that are in the commentary booth right now in the Weekend Warriors world, I can never, ever thank you enough for the kindness to me. I will think about it for the rest of my life. Only in America can a kid who lost his mother at the age of 7 turn this stuff into a career, and for that I will be tremendously grateful. But now that I've lowered the tone a little bit, I gotta say, if you want to join in for the festivities for Season 1 of 2025, we got some QR codes that we can pop up on screen now. If you want to join the Formula V Discord server, you can scan that QR link right there. If you want to join the Formula Fords as well, you can scan that QR link right there. If you want to join the Spec Racer Fords and see some of the action that we just saw a couple of moments ago, you can scan that QR code. And hey, if you join the Weekend Warriors world and you do well and you want to have a chat with us for whatever reason, you can scan that QR code to join the Slow Motion Broadcasting Discord server. That is it in terms of the promos and everything.
No.
Like
You're not
that.
getting out of here yet, Ron. You're not getting out of here yet. I've got one more thing to say to you. This has turned into the Ron Maunz show at this point, or Ron Maunz, however you want to say it, because I've said it twice, different ways. How do you say your last name, first of all, Ron?
Maunz. Got to have that Northeast lilt to it.
Maunz. All right. So, Mr. Maunz, who do you want to thank or shout out before you get this broadcast out of here?
Oh, well played.
Oh boy, okay. This is odd. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to break out a small little list here. I want to keep things short and sweet because I feel like I yap too much during these broadcasts. The people are
Yes, you do, but that's fine. We love you.
People need to take Excedrin after they listen to me on the air for an extended period of time. But I think, in terms of the people that I need to thank, I think the first person that I need to thank without a question of shadow of a doubt is my father. He is 67 years old. He is one of the most strong people I know, not just physically, but mentally as well. You know, I always took him raising me as a single father ever since my mother passed away back in 2012. I always took that for granted. I never really realized that doing something like that is just the most badass and brave thing that a person can do. Adam, I know that you're becoming a father in the not too distant future. I'm probably far away from that, knocking on the door of 20 myself. Oh boy. I forgot about that drinking game. Forgot about a couple of moments ago.
Hit him like a falling anvil, Ron.
Oh boy. I will not mention that quote. I will not mention any of the other standby quotes, but my dad created the monster that you hear on these broadcasts, and the work that he always does. I mean, he still works his ass off, working at a shop that drives him insane to make sure that I can do this broadcasting stuff. I'm not sure if he's tuning into this broadcast or not, but Dad, if you're tuning into this, I absolutely love you, and I will forever be grateful for the father that I have to raise me to be the absolute lunatic that I am today. Already mentioned Stevie. Thank you so much for bringing me on. First ever Ray Esports broadcast that I did outside the Weekend Warriors stuff was all the way back in September of 2023. Got to work with a gentleman by the name of Greg Ginsberg, who's the track commentator at Summit Point, and despite me having to drop out of that series not very long after, that kicked it off, and here we are. So Stevie, I want to thank you for all the work that you do behind the scenes to make all this stuff possible and kind of give me an outlet broadcasting-wise to yap people's ears off multiple times a week. Adam, I want to thank you as well. I was kind of talking about this with my dad the other day, but there's a brief scenario in which you could have just brought in your own guys to do this series, but you brought me in not terribly long after Weekend Warriors moved over here. Took me a little bit until I can get back onto the shows that I used to do, but I will still always be grateful for you, man. Zippy as well. You do a lot of hard work behind the scenes. Stevie, you need to thank him for not being actually I will thank as well Mr. L. Thompson, shall we say, at a different broadcaster who got me started.
Go for it, Ron. That's fine.
In the first place. Yeah, Lee Thompson over at Apex. You know, I joke about Apex. I haven't done a broadcast with them since a week before Thanksgiving, but I'm still a part of Apex. That is how I got my start in the broadcasting world. I have no idea what Lee saw in me to give me my big break in terms of all this stuff, but I'll be thankful for him. And I'm very thankful that he decided to be a hard ass to Stevie and made sure that that all the Weekend Warriors stuff moved over here, where I feel like everyone in the Weekend Warriors world is a lot happier. But I think those are just about all the thanks and
whoa. Hold up.
Oh, boy.
Who's this in the YouTube chat? Is this your old man?
I
Correct,
think your
yes.
dad. I think your dad just
Aw.
said something to you, Ron, and that says everything that needs to be said about the kind of man that you are, Ron. And
Oh, come on,
again,
man.
I
You're
think
not
we're
supposed to
all-
get me teary-eyed in the show.
We are all very, very proud of you. Everybody in the SRF world, everybody in the Weekend Warriors world, everybody in the SMB world, everybody in your family, I think, is super proud of you, Ron. But get us out of here.
That I certainly will before I have to break the tissue box, Dad, but gotta keep myself calm, cool, and collected as these drivers did throughout the racing that we saw from start to finish with the Formula Vs, the Formula Fords, and the Spec Racer Fords. And hey, if you're in the mood for some more action, stay tuned, because this upcoming weekend, gonna get the action kicked off with Season 1 of 2025 for the Weekend Warriors world. Got some fantastic racetracks, some fantastic drivers, and it's gonna be a heck of a lot of fun. But for one final time from Season 4 of 2024 for the Weekend Warriors world, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Adam Thompson, and Zippy, and Stevie, and everybody joining us in the commentary booth throughout today, I say thank you all so very much for watching. I appreciate you. I love all of you. Stay tuned for Season 1 of 2025. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Take care, everybody, and have a great rest of your day. We welcome you all to slow motion for this presentation of the Formula V Weekend Warrior Series, and we're about to grab the start in just a few moments' time. It's going to be Megan Overstreet leading them to green with Ladar right alongside. We're waiting for that green flag to come at, and the drivers are now on their way. Some of these drivers may be a little bit more aggressive towards the end of this race, as side by side with Love and DeGassis heading into 5.
Oh, it's close. It's a bit treacherous on the corner. Rex is just singling run wide there, Ron.
Down the running order, Love and Brewster, meanwhile, they have been in the tow and they've seen all these drivers try and do their own maneuvers. They definitely have something cooking behind the wheel of those FV race cars. As Montgomery gets that move done, one's running at the back. Well, not actually running right now, I don't believe, as there's a spinner with Ladar.
We are live for the first time on slow motion broadcasting with the FF Weekend Warriors. We're at Sebring this weekend. It's going to be a blast. I saw a little bit of rain here in the practice session, but we'll get to that here in 1 second. My name is Adam Thompson. I'm joined in the booth by Randall McGrew.
These three going right at it. We see you're getting really, really squirrely. There.
Oh, no!
Some contact. Oh, no. Jurg and Antonio, the two Masters leaders, both with issues and now dropping down the order.
There's a dicing through the curbs. Our lead two. as that's Instaman just slossing it up the inside through McIntyre there. Beautifully done by the Icelandic driver as there's a big incident happened behind somewhere. Gonzaga losing a lot of places back.
Almost touching at that point. They're around there heading into the closing stages of the track. Not quite there yet. Heading through what I'm calling the horseshoe, but let's not get into my drawing skills at this point. Nothing but clear track ahead of them at this point, so no one should be able to interfere in that battle. Side by side, nearly had contact there. That's going to put Kabanka on the inside for this next hairpin. This could be what decides it, and he's gone right on the outside, actually trying to cover off the car. I do wonder if Barry is going to be close enough to potentially slipstream. They've got 2 corners left to go. This is penultimate one now. Barry right up close, 0.3 of a second. I'm not sure it's going to be close enough, 0.2 of a second. He's got to keep his foot on that loud pedal. Catches a little bit of a curve, but has Kabanka done it? Barry going to the inside, and Kabanka gets it.
The field in Castro's hands, and he's going immediately. Gets a good jump there over Greene, and he's pulling away. He is gapping early, even moving over to try to break up any sort of slipstream or help that inside line, making sure Greene has his hands full coming into T1.
York's chance. Did Jason give Antonio just a little bit of a slow up? It doesn't look like it. Antonio down to the inside. Hopefully going to be able to make this move. Oh, that was close.
DeSoto both coming very hot with a head of steam. Plava going up.